This is an image from the opening narration of Pacific Rim. When I was making my Why I Never Turn Off My Brain video, I was forced to cut out a segment analyzing the film's visuals. To have it in there wouldn't really have added anything to my argument for realism, and it ultimately felt a little self-indulgent. That being said, this particular image stuck out to me in a way that I believe was worth talking about. So here it is. This shot is very early on in the movie. It's during the opening narration. I believe I said that. So after Raleigh recounts the first kaiju attack and notes that it was taken down, we are given this shot, where Trespasser's skull has been mounted in a glass display. You can just see how large it is compared to the people down below. To me, this brief glimpse of civilian life in a post-kaiju world speaks volumes. The lighting of the gallery endows the skull with an eerie sort of prominence, as does its position in the center of the frame. This is the script I wrote for this. I don't know why I'm reading from it, but the crowd staring up at it is dispersed widely. No particular individual draws our attention. I did notice, yes, that there are couples. That's what I wanted to draw attention to, is that in this picture there are a lot of people in pairs. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because, standing together with somebody you trust through hardship is the theme of Pacific Rim. And even in this image, which is only there for like half a second in the film, you still see that. It's still placed there intentionally. And already, I've ran through the entirety of the script I had written for when I was talking about this. Like I said, there was a reason I cut this. It was not, it was just not conducive to the overall video, and it was like a time I had to spend on editing, so. But, I guess what, I mostly have to say about this is that even the first time I saw this video, this image haunted me. I was immediately drawn into the world, and, it felt real to me. It felt good, and not in a way that I guess most people would relate to realism, and I'm sure a lot of people will find it silly that I'm so fixated on an image that appeared for such a short amount of time. But the truth is, this really drew me into the world, because it made me sort of think, like, what would happen if something like this happened to me in real life? If all of a sudden I was told, the news came on some morning and said that out of the blue, a disaster, a type of disaster we had never heard of, hit a part of our country, and we are mourning this. Essentially, an alien force has entered our world and destroyed countless lives, has laid waste to cities, and the worst part of all of it is, who knows where it came from? Who knows what it wanted with us? What the hell even was it? And how does this affect what we know about the universe? It's a pretty grim picture. It's bleak, and the idea of being in that situation and being in this room, in this museum, and looking up at that skull, just think about how that would feel. Because this was the first kaiju attack. In the context of the film, there had been no other. It was just an anomaly, a sudden invasion that took place. An invasion of peace of mind. What was destroyed when Trespasser appeared was the thought that we could ever be safe. That, we could ever be content in the universe. a reminder that there are horrifying, terrifying truths just outside of our grasp that we will never, ever comprehend. The universe is unknowable. And I got that. I got that from this. And thinking about it now, I'm so glad that I decided to actually do this and to talk about this, because this is what that image means to me. It's worth recognizing. It's not, one of the main reasons why Pacific Rim is my favorite movie, but I have a feeling that this image, what it represents, a lot of that, it's going to be a whole lot of part of my life, part of how I think going forward. So, well, thank you for listening to whatever this was. Probably going to go to bed now because it's really late. Anyway, yeah. Very early on in Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager killed 2 human traffickers, and when asked why he did it, he said, "I didn't kill people, I killed 2 bad animals that needed to be put down." That set the tone for Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is a series about humanity against a unstoppable, unreasonable, and overwhelming enemy. It is an enemy that shatters their walls, enters their sacred spaces, devours them, defiles them, and brings out the worst in them. And all of this is taking place in a world that is very Germanic. It is a Germanic-themed fantasy world with Germanic names, Germanic music within the anime, and man-eating giants, a staple from many Germanic mythologies. So the bells go off in a lot of people's heads about the N-word, about Nazis. And although, that's sort of the easiest parallel to make, it's apt and probably not unintentional. The way in which the humans fight against the Titans is dehumanizing to themselves. They become like monsters in order to fight monsters. It's a very Nietzsche-esque... Nietzsche? It's he who fights monsters may become one. And this actually literally happens within the show. Eren Yeager literally must become a monster in order to fight against the Titans. So, this show isn't exactly subtle with its themes. It really sort of wears its heart on its sleeve and really kind of presents everything up front. And this lack of subtlety sort of made it seem as if the fascism of Attack on Titan was presented without any self-awareness. That this is arguing for fascism against an unstoppable enemy, and it is saying that if you are being oppressed by a much more powerful force, you must demonize the enemy all you can, you must not let them survive, you must not reason with them, you must just kill. The leadership of the armies in Attack on Titans care very little for human lives. They are simply, at any cost, repelling these foreign, smelly monsters. And they don't care how many human lives they have to throw away to get there, to that end point. So Attack on Titan was always about that. Was always about the way in which, when confronting a enemy that appears completely monstrous, humanity decides to become monsters themselves. This was always the theme, and it just seemed like the show was very pro that. Fight like that. Go to war like that. But with the revelation of what was in the basement, I no longer think that Attack on Titan is about being fascist. Despite all of this build-up, the intended theme of the series is against fascism. What was in the basement it was actually a sobering truth about humanity. It was a reminder that history makes us what we are, and that a cycle of hatred continues from very long ago and infects us if we allow it to. We learn that the Titans are human, or they were, but the people who thought they were inhuman made them inhuman. The metaphor is there. If we focus our efforts into dehumanizing our enemies, into making them into monsters, we will make monsters. So, what I'm saying is, we cannot get swept up in hatred, because we don't know the whole story. And perhaps behind every smiling, horrifying Titan face, there is a story of disenfranchisement. It's quite possible that our adversaries are more human than we would want them to be. But that doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't abhorrent. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to keep people safe. It just means that we have to see each other as humans and not monsters. People are not animals. We have risen above that. We can be better than that. Do not put down bad animals. Do not pretend to be putting down bad animals while you are talking about killing people. Anyway, this has been another Ruminations video. These are a whole barrel of laughs, aren't they? So here I am again with another Ruminations video, because apparently this is a series. I don't even really know where to begin, to be honest, but I think that's the whole point of these, is that I'm going on some kind of unscripted ramble about the given movie or piece of media I'm talking about. It's mostly been visual medias, but I don't know. It could be anything, really. What is interesting is that the first two I did, one was on Pacific Rim, the other was on Attack on Titan, and this one I'm doing on Arrival, which there's this recurring theme of alien forces that are overwhelming and gigantic in scale, because certainly Arrival, just from the trailers you could see the size and scale of the extraterrestrial ships. So why don't we get down into this? See, it's difficult. It's honestly difficult even to begin, because doing things unscripted, I always feel as though I'll make some sort of mistake, that I'll somehow set myself back and I'll have to redo the recording because I'll say something ridiculous and then it will all have been for naught. But maybe I don't have to think of it that way. Perhaps there are no mistakes I could possibly make, because everything I'm saying in one of these rumination videos, it's relevant to how I'm expressing my feelings towards the movie. And in the case of Arrival specifically, I think that it's important to note that there could be possibly no mistakes to be made at all. It's possible that the choices I would make with regards to talking about it are completely set in stone, and all I must do is open my mouth and speak my mind, and the script writes it. I'm leaving that in. I was gonna say the script writes itself. So there is this perceived error that I just made, and I certainly perceive it. But in a bigger picture sense, was it really an error? Because ultimately, as I'm talking, and as you are watching this video, you know this video to be already made. So, regardless, whatever mistake I made along the way, it didn't stop me from creating the video. It's kind of interesting how that works. It's almost like I've created a stable time loop for myself. I know that this video will be released. I know this as I'm recording it, and I can see you watching it from a video player. And yet, at this moment, what is truly happening is that I am sitting in front of my monitor, and I have Audacity open, and I am recording, and before me I have the image that you see before you on your screen. That's what I'm looking at as I'm describing all of this. And so, as I just summarized that to you, you too can put yourself in my shoes at the making of this. So in a way, you are traveling back to the making of this video. Or, to put it in a different way, I am making this video as you are watching it. So, and that is the truth of it. You can look down at the length of how long I'll be talking in this video and how long I'll be discussing Arrival, and how long I'll be ruminating on the plot, the story, on the image, although I haven't really been focusing on the image too much this time around. And you, right now at this moment, have a better idea of when this video is going to end than I do. I have no discrete plans for what I'm going to be saying next. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but you have some idea, the time frame of what I'm going to say. And I mean, my motivation to keep talking is to make this interesting for you, because I've left in the pauses so far, and I've left in the mistakes. These things that to me seem like blunders, but in the end are part of the final product. It's happening organically. It's not something that I could have planned. See, in a lot of my videos, I talk about chaos or throwing, excuse me, I burped. See, look, that's a great example of it. I was gonna say something, I was gonna finish a sentence, and then something completely interrupted my plans and changed the course of what I was saying. So, when I talk about chaos in my videos, and sometimes I'm just sort of, it might be chaotic for you to be looking at, a standard character analysis video like my Rose Quartz video, for it to suddenly break out into, what it did. For the viewer, that could be quite unexpected the first time you watch it, and it could still be entertaining in its sort of strange off the wallness the next couple times you watch that video. But for me, it's not really chaotic because I created it. There's an order to it. There's a method to my madness. So, but like, sometimes I think that it would be better if I were more comfortable just letting my madness out, just letting my madness be madness and not be so caught up in what the methods are. I really think that there's something to be said for just spontaneously creating something, and this right now, this feels like creation. I mean, granted, it's creation, but it's also destruction, because as I say these words, as they leave my head, they become part of this video, and they become rigid and unchanging things. I can't go back and unsay anything I said earlier, previously, in this take, because I'm not changing a thing. I can't change a thing, because in real life you can't just go back and do another take. You only get the first time through, and you have to live with that. And that becomes the script of your life. You know, my freshman year in college, I everybody's got, strange ideas when they're first going into college. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but, I had this very sort of strange relationship. On the one hand, it seemed like it was this great and sort of dramatic and cinematic thing that was happening to me, and it felt like a good thing, but at the same time, there was something about it that was uncontrollable, unforeseen, and frightening, because there was no order to it. There was no, I had no frame of reference for what I was getting myself into. But the girl, she had this belief that everything happened for a reason. And yet, she would say that to me at the time, and I would want to believe that everything was happening for a reason, and that this thing between me and her, that was happening for a reason. But, it wasn't. It simply, it just wasn't, and also, if it was, that would have been more scary, because it ended up not really working out. It ended up putting me in a bad place multiple times. But anyway, that was, sort of a thing that I guess I'm sharing on this. And to tie it into Arrival a little bit, because that is, ostensibly what this video is about, I wouldn't change that for anything. I mean, I wouldn't change any of my past relationships, because all of them, in some way, taught me something that allows me to be better in my current relationship, that allows me to be the person who my current partner fell in love with. And that's going to be weird. That's going to be weird hearing this if my current relationship doesn't work out. And actually, it's going to be quite strange, because that sentence, that everything I had just said could apply to, I mean, I want this current one to work out. I have no intention of it not working out, and it seems like it's going really great now, but if something really unplanned and unexpected happens, I mean, I'll learn from it and then be better next time. So, it's really this thing I said, it about all relationships teaching me something about the next one. It just keeps coming true. It would endlessly come true no matter how many relationships I had. So as I'm describing it now, I'm realizing that not only am I talking in certain terms about an uncertain future, I'm also creating a message that is completely accurate, even if the specific circumstances might change. Jeez. I'm getting cold. Not because, like, I'm giving myself chills or anything. It's just, it's cold out. It's windy out, and I don't know, when I talk real personal about stuff, I tend to get a little chilly. I tend to get a little nervous. I don't really talk about myself too often. At least not here on my channel. And I don't really talk about myself too often to my friends either. I usually just talk to them about made up stuff, fiction. That's kind of what I do. And obviously your friends know you, so you don't really have to, like, introduce yourself or, like, establish that, the traits you're expressing are your traits. They know you, and in their mind you're a character. You're already this person. And that's subject to change, but I don't really feel the need to have to establish myself as any particular identity, because, I just am who I am. The craziest thing about this, or not the craziest thing, but, like, a slightly, a preventative measure to keep me from, I guess, shutting off this video prematurely, is that I have not, like, the image that you're seeing is blocking Audacity. It's blocking the thing, so I have no idea what the time frame is, or how long I've been speaking. It could go on forever. But I know that it doesn't, and you know that it doesn't, because there's no such thing as a YouTube video with an infinite runtime. You know the exact length of this video, be it in seconds, minutes, or hours. Geez, hopefully not hours. I can't imagine that I'd be talking on this thing for hours. I always overestimate the length of what my videos are going to be. Like, the Skylanders one, before that came out, I was like, oh, that's going to be 30 minutes. That's going to be 30 minutes. Not even half of that. I thought that way back when I did Wander Over Yonder versus Anti-Nihilism, I thought that was going to be an hour-long video, but it was just 30 minutes. Jeez, I'm going to throw on a coat. It's really chilly. There, I'm warmer now. That's better. So, if you haven't seen Arrival, like, go see Arrival. I don't think I'm ending right now. It doesn't feel like the end of this video. It doesn't feel like what I'm trying to articulate, but, if you haven't seen Arrival yet, go see it, because it's a very, very strong alien movie, and it is, it's got themes, and it's got cool creatures and whatnot. It's just a good movie. It's really good, and it's really strongly focused around, like, one central idea, or at least like at least it's got this concept, and everything sort of wraps around and comes full circle based on this one concept, which I really appreciate. I think it's good storytelling. I think it's good filmmaking. I think that aesthetically the movie is very cool, and what it does with the editing is very much hammers in every point it was trying to make. Jeez, okay. Well, what can I do? I mean, talking about Arrival already dates this video, but should I date this video even further by like discussing what is happening generally? Okay, yeah, like I mean, if you look at the release date of this video, you'd see that it was December, so like, you know, but obviously it's connected to this movie, so you know, what I'm saying is, like, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, you know, etc. You know, consider this my Christmas special. Yeah, huh. Maybe it was just kind of wishful thinking that I wasn't ending this video when I said that earlier, because, you know, inevitably I am going to have to stop talking. Inevitably I am going to have to finish this, but you know, I don't want to. I like this. My screensaver just popped up. Yeah, okay, maybe that's a sign. Maybe I just need to stop altogether. Maybe I just need to stop, you know, get over myself and realize that nobody wants to hear me talk this long and about basically nothing. You know, nobody really... yeah, okay. Well, like, I don't have the patience sometimes. Well, no, that's not true either. I don't know what I'm saying. In all my early reviews, in all my early Dire Gentleman reviews, I always would end with, I'm out of wine and out of patience, but, like, in real life, I am patient to a fault. I am probably one of the most, laid-back, patient people I know. And sometimes it manifests as complete laziness, but other times it manifests as just, you know, the ability to wait and see the fruits of my labors, or the ability to give something the space it needs to grow. And that's, you know, kind of why I've been trying to do this YouTube thing, or that's why I haven't really fully gotten discouraged. Because I am patient, and I do think that there's a point where this is going to work out, where suddenly I'm going to get a bunch of subscribers, and you know I can see it, and if this video is released in the future, when that is happening, it's going to be interesting to listen back to that. And at a certain point, someone, I mean, I will know, someone other than me will know about this, will see this video, and, you know, they'll know that at the time, I said all of this stuff in complete honesty, not knowing where it was going, but I had to. I had to because I had to create a video that would be a time capsule for when I listen to it in the future. Uh, what else really is there to say? You know, I do think that if there is a higher power, they're very distant and perhaps not interested at all, if they ever were, in what we do down here. Or maybe they just can't keep focused. Maybe they just have their fingers in too many pies. Ew, that's a weird thing. Maybe they just, they've got too many birds to kill with too many stones. That's violent. They're distracted and they keep moving to different tangents and they can't quite, focus enough to make method out of madness. In that way, in that way, if that's what I would describe as the higher power of the universe, as the higher authority of the universe, if I can't believe I'm actually going here. What is this? I just improvised this off the top of my head. Look, the point is, you probably realize where this is going. I'm basically saying that, as I'm making this video, as I'm creating this thing, I am doing a mimicry of, it's weird to say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not that conceited to just be like, I am God. And there, I said it. But, I'm not that guy. I don't think that this is anything special. It doesn't have to be anything special to anybody else. It just has to be made. I just have to close the loop. Because once I close the loop, this becomes a video, and everybody can watch it. By everybody, I mean, probably the small number of people who actually watch my videos. Which, geez, yeah. The more details you add, the more unspecific this might come, because if more people start watching, that sentence is going to be wrong. I really should have kept this super vague. If only there was some way for me to, loop back around to, whatever I was talking about at the beginning of this video, or somehow alter the flow of this video so that it was like I was talking backwards up until my original point. But I can't do that. I actually can't do that. One of the downsides of experiencing time in a linear fashion is that I can't just do that. And even if I could think my way back to my original point, but I couldn't rhetorically reverse everything back to the point from which I began. But you as the viewer can actually do that. You can go back earlier in the video. You could go back earlier to anything I said throughout this video. But why would you? Because you know that it's not gonna, that I can't go back there with you. I can only experience things linearly. But you could go to any part of this video, and you could... Sorry, I stopped again because there was snow coming down on the roof, and the wind kind of made a door slam out in the hallway, and it's late at night, and I'm getting a little spooked. So... sometimes that happens. We all get spooked. We all worry about the, David Pumpkins behind the door or whatever. Well, this has certainly been a ride. Is this the ending of the video? Alright, okay. So, looks like we're doing another Ruminations video. This series must continue. The show must go on. And all that. So, last time when I did one of these, it got a little out of hand. I think I went on a little too long, but that's okay. Because, life is not predictable. It's not easy living in this chaotic universe. So, in case you can't tell, I want these to remain unscripted. I want these to be spontaneous. When I did the Arrival one, I basically just droned on because, I don't know, depression or whatever. But this time, the twist is the way that I can keep this spontaneous is that I'm, drunk and getting drunker during the course of this video. So, the movie this time is Colossal. Continuing my theme of gigantic monsters. That is the one constant of these rumination videos, and I think that has to stay, just because it's like a great in-joke. Or, I don't know if it's funny, but it's, giant monsters, and I'm having existential breakdowns because of them. I'm obsessed with giant monsters for some reason. Who knows why? Maybe it's that feeling deep down inside of all of us, an inborn evolutionary trait of fearing being not at the top of the food chain anymore. Maybe we humans have gotten so accustomed to being the dominant life form on the planet that to be knocked down a peg is perhaps the most terrifying thing we could experience. I don't know. Jeez. I shouldn't be getting so into the weeds so early in this. We've barely gotten started. Come on. Pace it a bit. Pace it a bit, me from the past, because this video was recorded in the I'm not gonna do the Arrival thing again. I'm gonna just do a new video, do a different video. So, I guess I should begin with the reason I chose this image for the video. It's got little to nothing to do with the movie, but very much more to do with general life. So, excuse me. The image I chose was the Great Wave off Kanagawa, which is one of the most famous paintings in the world. It's a Japanese watercolor painting by a painter named Hakusai. I've basically had posters of this painting everywhere I've ever been, in college, at this current house, at my apartment. This image is something that it doesn't matter. Look, I don't need to talk about what it means to me. The important thing is that Anne Hathaway's character in this movie was had this as the back of her laptop. So this image is seen in the movie Colossal a lot of the time. And that's why I chose to make it this image there. That's the in-depth analysis of this symbol. So Colossal is a film by Nacho Vigalondo. And it is a monster movie, but also mixed with sort of a slice of life romantic comedy kind of thing. It's a funny movie, but also a chilling monster movie, which makes it perfect for being Ruminations and for being an upbeat Ruminations, because I feel Ruminations, they've got to be a little bit dark, they've got to be a little bit dreary, but to be honest, I don't know. I like having a change of pace with these. Oh, jeez, am I gonna talk about anything? Is this gonna be anything? Can I talk about the movie, please? Okay. Oh God. So Colossal is a movie by Nacho Vigalondo, and you may know him from the movie that was called Open Windows, which starred Sasha Grey and Elijah Wood. It was a movie that took place entirely on a desktop with open windows. I've never actually seen it, but I heard about it. I was gonna see it at one point, but I never really got around to it. Supposedly, it didn't do too well despite its ambition. Kind of got upstaged by Unfriended, which was another, found footage, quote unquote, movie that took place entirely within an internet browser or a computer screen, rather. Excuse me. Don't mind if I do. Do what? I'll let you decide. Anyway, so the whole thing with Colossal is that it's this monster movie couched within a slice of life plot. The stakes of the story are quite large, larger than life, really, but also remarkably small. And that contrast is what defines this film and really what warrants its presence within Rumination series by me. Hold on a second. When we live in our lives, we believe ourselves to be bigger than we are. Or rather, we want to think that, but in reality, our existence is very finite. And for a lot of people, that is a painful thing to admit or even to face up to. We usually don't get to decide too much. We don't get to be our own bosses. I mean, look, at the time of this video, I am 25. I am going to say that life as a 25-year-old in the workforce in the United States of America, it's basically like, you've done your education, you've gotten there, now you have a job, and you work at that job, and that's it. You work, you earn money, you buy things. You're a consumer. That's it. That's your life. You're done. You're successful. So why are you complaining about it? I'm complaining about it. And Colossal, it's a movie about how the small things are also the big things. Maybe this was a bad idea to do this drunk. I don't know. Jeez, come on, man. Who, you, me, this is a podcast. This is basically a podcast. It's not even 10 minutes long yet, but it's a podcast. Jeez. So, okay. So Nacho Vitalondo, he did Open Windows, and he's a filmmaker that, this is the first film of his I've seen, but now I feel like I have to follow him because this movie was very good. The originality of it was one thing, but also the fact that it got these great actors. I mean, Anne Hathaway is the person who sort of probably made this movie happen. She executive produced this movie and also was the lead in it, and my goodness, her performance in this movie was amazing. She did an amazing job, a very multifaceted role as this main character, and she really pulled off something that a lesser actress may not have been able to accomplish. Because the thing about this character is that it's very, very unlikable to begin with. Her character that she plays is you start at the beginning of the movie and you're like, geez, this character is really a bad person. There's no way to come up from this. But as the circumstances of the plot sort of humble her, and as you sort of see this other side of her, you start to realize, hey, my goodness, pathos, You start to look at this character as oh, okay, so she's made some mistakes, but maybe also she hasn't fucked up that badly. Like, the world kind of judges her harshly for her lifestyle in ways that, like, don't matter. Like, it's this weird thing where, like, you know, you see these early patterns of her characterization, and you see, like, you know, things she's doing that, like, that's not good, a person shouldn't do that. But then later in the movie you're like, is that really something we can blame her for? Like, is that really her fault, or is it like other people sort of foisting their own beliefs and their own views of how people should behave onto her? um God, that made no sense. What am I doing? What am I? Why? Why do I? Why? God! Okay. And I need to clarify something because, like, the alcohol, it's important. It needs to be. Because this movie, it's about the booze. It's about the booze a little bit. A little bit it is about the booze. It's about bigger things, but I mean, that's the joke. It's called Colossal. It's a bigger movie. Oh, God. Who? Oh! Oh, that's strong stuff. For Nacho Vitalondo, this is his first critically acclaimed success. And by critically acclaimed, I mean, like, it's hovering around like 80%, 70%, most websites on the internet, aggregate consensus, whatever. I mean, I don't care about that. To me, this movie is like a 10 out of 10. This is like a really, really good movie. Like, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. And I just seen it now. But, like, damn, dude, it's got some great stuff in it. This is not just the booze talking. This is like me. Like, I was in the theater, not sober. Sober is the word I'm looking for. I was in the theater sober, and there was moments in this movie that I was like, oh my God. I verbally reacted. And most media just sort of warrants even if it's like, if it's funny or scary or whatever, usually it just warrants like a chuckle from me or like a blank stare. But nah, this movie legit had me, like, laughing. It also had me like going like, oh damn, they went there. So, like, good. It's a good movie. What was it? Critical consensus is liking this movie a lot, and that's good because it's the breakout film for Nacho. The Mr. Nacho over there, he's the breakout man. He's got a film that is being very well received and people like it. And why shouldn't they like it? It's a great original concept. It's taken forward through to its best of potential. And I think that, like, fantastic, He did a good. And at the end of the day, that's really all you can say. So, while I'm on the subject of reviews of this movie, a bad review from a Mr. Armand White, who, I don't know if I have to really establish this here, but Armand White is sort of this infamous contrarian critic. And he gave a poor review of this movie. He also gave a poor review of Get Out, which had like a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes until he reviewed it, and brought it down to a 99% single-handedly. I mean, you gotta give the guy props for, like, changing up the consensus so efficiently, but also at the same time, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, what? Anyway, in full, I am going to read the review he had of this movie, because I should. Because, like, it made me laugh. I was... here's his review of it. I will read it now. Armand White says, an early candidate for the worst film of the year, Nacho Vigalondo's Colossal.
This feminist sci-fi is a tribute to misandry. Anne Hathaway plays Gloria, an alcoholic lout who blames all her problems on men. Since childhood, she has displaced her dissatisfaction into a Godzilla-like monster. It's a psychotic self-projection that imitates her grade school sandbox antics in the streets of Seoul, South Korea, killing innocents because, well, men are bad. Oscar, Jason Sudeikis, is the latest victim of Gloria's man-hatred. She even attacks him physically as if feminism endorses insult and battery by women. All this movie lacks is handing out pink pussy hats to brain-dead ticket buyers. That's the review in full. That's what he wrote. That's what he wrote about this movie. Hey, I'm sorry. I mean, fuck, dude. If there was more, I'd read it, but there's not more, so I can't read it. Before I get into actually this, I want to praise Jason Sudeikis for doing an amazing job as this movie's antagonist. He really pulled it off. Like, this was an incredibly chilling performance, and I feel like it's a kind of essential thing that all of us guys can do. Deep down inside, we all can tap into we're all violent barbarians. We're all brutes. And he really tapped into this, like, chilling, controlling, nice guy persona, which was, like, it was awesome. It was awesome to watch. He did an amazing job as the antagonist of this movie. It was phenomenal. Like, I mean, I've covered in depth the type of character that he did in my Megamind video, but he, like, pulled that character off in a way I think even better than Megamind, which is saying something, because, it's my favorite Ruminations movie. I'm going to take another drink, and then I'll get back to you for a sec. Oh! Okay. It's me doing the review. Hey, everybody out there, it's me doing the review. Welcome to me doing a review. It's me, a dire gentleman, doing the review. And if you don't do the review, I don't know how to preview the goo. The goo is coming. Don't avoid it. It'll find you. God, what am I talking about? Okay, so Jason Sudeikis did a great job in this movie, and I think he should get an Oscar. I think he should get 12 Oscars. I think he should get 12 Oscars and an Academy Award, which is the same thing as an Oscar, but he should get 12. 12 is the number I'm fixating on right now. I don't know. Look, point being, getting back to Armand White's review. Armand White had this, like, strange reaction to the movie that I can't even fathom. Like, instead of, like, reading the beats of the movie and, like, feeling empathy for the character, it seems like he simply couldn't relate to the characters simply because they were a female protagonist. Like, I don't get why he has to cite feminism in particular just because it's a woman doing all of these things. I don't get why he has to make it political. Like, look, I am the first person who will tell you not to be neutral. I am the first person to tell you to be passionate and to pursue and to have ideals in this world. Because, like, otherwise, what's the point, right? I am, like, pro-passion. I am pro-caring. But Armand White cares about stupid things. And I say this because I'm drunk, not because I have a coherent grasp of the situation, not because I can, like, talk about it at any real capacity. But, like, come on, man. At a certain point, you've got to realize you're a joke. You've got to realize you're a, like, that's enough about Armand White. I don't care. I do care, but I care less about Armand White. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I care about not hurting his feelings. There, I brought it back around to caring. Because that's the thing. You gotta care, man. You gotta care about people. If you don't care about people, you're just as bad as the antagonist of this movie, who doesn't care about people. He just uses people as a way to make himself feel bigger, as a way to make himself feel better than others. He's just a big jerk. He's a big jerk masquerading as a nice guy. And my God, as a former hashtag quotation mark TM nice guy, I know that is probably the worst villain you can ever be. 'Cause god damn it. Like, oh, jeez. What was I saying? I'm a former hashtag TM bullshit nice guy, man. And I've started to understand that, you know, being a passive douchebag isn't the same as being an empathetic person. Because, like, you can not affect anything and be consumed by your ability to do nothing with your life, and as a result become passive to the people around you, or you can, like, straight up just, like, be nice for the sake of it. Like, the amazing thing about nothing meaning anything and everything being arbitrary is that you can just be like, alright, well, fuck that. I'm still gonna be a nice person. I'm still gonna be a good person. 'Cause, like, what's stopping me from being the best person ever? Nothing. Nothing is stopping me from being the best or the worst person ever, but I'll choose to be the best because, like, I feel better when I'm the best person ever. So, like, fuck all you who are settling for not being good. Being good is difficult. Being good is hard. Ranting on the internet is the most difficult thing in the world. And I'll challenge anyone to find a reason not to rant on the internet. If you don't believe in me, then I don't believe in you. So fuck you. Fuck you all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Colossal is a good movie. And you know what was really great about it? Besides the actors, besides the fact that the actors both give amazing performances, I think the concept of Colossal is so creative. It's beautiful. And this is the reason why indie movies deserve more credit. This is the reason why people should go out and watch more indie movies. Because honestly, Hollywood is like a singular entity, you know? It can't produce everything that means everything to everybody. It simply can't, you know? And that's not me saying, like, Hollywood's bad or Hollywood's corrupt. It's just me saying that, like, you know, a greater horizon for content is available. Not everything has to come from Hollywood. Like, when you think about it, really, movies, since the majority of them come from Hollywood, that's just another form of a YouTube channel. That's just another form of content creation. It's just like, basically, like, think of it this way. The content comes from, like, a single source. It's just released in a really unsatisfying and weird pattern. Like, it goes to theaters around the nation, but, like, you can't sit at home and drink a glass of wine and have a good time. You have to go to a theater. You have to go to a theater. I mean, the theater experience is great, but, like, it's the same thing. It's all the same. And in the future, we probably won't have to worry about that. We could probably stream, like, movies into our brains from microchips. And some people might be like, oh no, that's a big infringement upon our freedoms, or for our sense of self, but whatever. I don't watch Black Mirror. I don't really care about how people are eating their laptops and pooping out government conspiracies. I don't care. What does it matter, you know? This video isn't even about Colossal anymore. I'm a mess. I'm a horrible mess, and I've got to drink more to not fuck up so much. Ah! Why did I do that? Why did I do that? That was too strong. That was too strong of a thing. I need to drink some water after this. Colossal's a good movie. Please watch Colossal. If you don't, don't you dare not watch it. Don't you dare not watch it. I'm gonna own this movie someday. How much of this can I possibly edit out? How much of this can I possibly edit out? Because the whole thing, alcohol, coming back, man. I gotta clean my room. Colossal is a great movie. Go see it. Alright. Dire Gentleman's about to rant and break down the truth behind humanity, so you better listen up, because I'm not gonna mince words anymore, okay? The whole thing is that every single person in the entire world is obsessed with comparing themselves to somebody else or feeling inadequate in some way. That people want to feel adversity because, you know, lifetimes of conditioning, of stories and legends teach us all that we are inadequate and that in order to be challenged, we must face adversity. But you know what? I say to that, whatever. You know, just find a way to be happy. Because ultimately, what does it matter? What does it anything matter? This is not the scathing rant I was expecting it to be. In fact, it's sort of lukewarm compared to the other revelations I've had on this channel. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. You know, when I make these videos, I feel like I'm part of something outside of myself. Something bigger. Because behind every video I make, there is a man sitting in his room and screaming into a microphone and speaking as frankly as he possibly can, and maybe not getting everything right the first time, or the second time, the third time, producing something. And once that is out there in the world, it's something I have to own. Because I've suddenly created a bigger picture of myself, something outside of me. There are people all over the world who strive to have bigger lives, who strive to have a bigger impact, but through the magic of the internet, through the magic of deciding to create, I am able to reach a vast audience, most of which haven't seen me, but could potentially. So every move I make is moderated in a weird way, you know? I sound hollow right now. I sound like I'm Markiplier. But I have great respect for Markiplier because he does great things and he has a great audience, and I'm probably going to watch some of his videos after this. But, like, I don't understand what it's like to be that successful. I just simply can't. And know, I'm not there yet. I probably will never be there. I'll never be like a Hollywood man. I'll never be a great, successful man. You know, there's nothing in my family tree that would allow me to have that level of nepotism to achieve anything great. But I understand. Like, you know, I get it. I'm so drunk. I'm so drunk. You know, the first parts of this video are better than the latter parts, because how could I possibly make a more coherent point after I've had this many drinks? This is really only a chronicle of the night I saw Colossal, the night I drove my car all the way to cinema, and the night that I was like, hey, Colossal is an interesting movie, I should probably go see it. And watched the movie and really liked it, and then I've reported my findings to the YouTube circuit. Because I've decided to be a YouTuber, and I've decided to dedicate my life to being a great person online, and I've decided to being a persona, and I've decided to being a man, and I've decided to being So at the end of the day, it really all comes down to who I've decided to be, and I've decided to be me. I guess I think so. Is this longer than The Arrival? Because I think it's longer than The Arrival. I don't think I'll remember half of this when I wake up. I don't think I'll remember half of anything when I wake up. But I do know that Colossal was great. So I guess. Ruminations, everybody. Hey, Ruminations video. Bye. Bye forever. I'm gone until the next The Greatest video. You can find me at diregentleman.youtube.com. That's not a correct URL. Hello, and welcome to Ruminations on Jagaaaaaan! Holy shit! This manga rather, is it's so dark. Why is it so dark? Who turned out the lights in this manga? This is the worst thing I've ever read, because it's so goddamn dark. Shintaro Jagaaaaaan was an ordinary police until his memories got embedded with a frog tadpole. And now he's a monster, and he goes around shooting monsters in the head. He's got a Videodrome gun arm, and that's his life now. He's a Jagaaaaaan, and he shoots other fractured humans who have all been infreded with the full Fred, the entire Fred. They've got Fred necks, and now they're monsters. So it's like Kingdom Hearts. It's exactly like Kingdom Hearts meets Monster Hunter. So he goes around and he's like, I'm gonna shoot everybody, because that's been my dream this whole time. I became a police expressly for the reason of committing police brutality in the name of justice. This guy has been hiding the fact that he's like a super sociopath his entire life, and now that he's Jagaaaaaan, he can express that side of him freely and use it as this like battering ram to save the world. He's gonna save the world from a bunch of freaky frogs, and who better to help him than his sidekick, Owl Boy. He's got a little like orbular owl sidekick who's like his best friend, who's like the best guy ever, swears like a sailor, and he eats the frog remains and turns them into dung balls, which he can then give to Jagaaaaaan so that Jagaaaaaan doesn't go too crazy. basically he's gotta kill to stay alive. He's gotta kill each day to live each day, like the hourglass from superhero movie. Hey, does anyone remember that? What a great villain concept, completely wasted on a movie like superhero movie. So there's other characters in Jagaaaaaan. There's also a tree guy named Chihiro, and he's also got a stupid name that I can't remember. Like, he's got a stupid Jagaaaaaan nickname, but he's like, his whole thing is he shows up and he's like, he says, I'm a selfishness supremacist, and that's his thing. He wants people to be super duper selfish, and like, he wants them to grow into beautiful trees of selfishness. So he's not that different from Shintaro Jagasaki, but he's just more honest. And speaking of more honest, Tree Man has a hawk, by the way. He's also one of those half tadpole freaks. But speaking of honest, there is another character in this series called Robaharu, or Roba-chan for short. And Roba is probably the worst man who ever lived. He's a total creep, and his entire life revolves around meeting cute girls at, like, he's a concert sign-up list guy, and he finds their name, and based on their name he tracks them down, and then he puts cameras in their house, and he watches them have sexy times with their boyfriends. So he's fucked up! He's a fucked up boy, that Roba. He's got, his premiere chapter shows him like just doing this whole thing. It establishes this whole process, and that's just a week. That's just a week of this manga. So recently there's this thing that happened with Roba where, like, he just went nuts. He was following this one girl, Karen, and he's like, this is gonna turn my life around, because she was crying, she was sad, and that's like, you know, and he, Roba-chan, is gonna make her feel better, because he can't get into a girl who's always crying. He can't jack himself to bits over that. So he goes and meets her, and basically goes and becomes a good friend with her, but all of a sudden it's revealed that she had a crush on this other guy. And Roba's devastated. So devastated, in fact, that he swallows an entire frog whole and becomes like a Mega Man villain. So now, he's just a crazy, evil dude who's like straight up psychopathically going at it. He's like Jagaaaaaan, except the Jagaaaaaan is his penis, you see. He's a scary, horrible man. He's like a rock monster from Ninja Scroll. He wants to get... there's no stopping him. He'll rape the world. Unless Jagaaaaaan shoots him in his goddamn skull, like the Americans would. Jagaaaaaan is a true hero because he is a gun. Guns do kill people when they're people. And that's okay. Because it's for justice. Who doesn't like justice? You all wish you were Jagaaaaaan, says the manga Jagaaaaaan. According to Jagaaaaaan, 9 out of 10 people are unhappy and would turn into horrible monsters if exposed to frogs. I guess that's all well and good. I mean, what's the harm in Jagaaaaaan being a stupid show or manga? I read it every week and continue to hate it, but also love it. I don't know. I guess that I just wanted to talk about Jagaaaaaan. I'm really not sure what all this violence and horrible sexual aggression is really for in the end, but I mean, I guess it's a manga that just gets away with it because it can do that. It's kind of a manga about selfishness. Maybe it's got something to say about the human race, but I kind of doubt it. It's a little over the top for me. Anyway, that was Ruminations on Jagaaaaaan! Monsters. Huh. I actually don't know what to make of this 2010 monster movie. Especially because I'm not even sure that I should characterize it as a monster movie. But I suppose I don't want to sound like horror fans who wouldn't put the Babadook or Crimson Peak in the same category as horror. So if that's the bar I'm setting, then hell yeah, this is a monster movie. It's a monster movie in much the same way Arrival and Colossal are monster movies, in that the monsters definitely play a huge role in the way that the movie is set up and the premise behind it, but the story it tells is not merely spectacle. Nor is it really a chance to blow the budget on special effects, but honestly, the conservative approach to showing monsters is rather useful. At the very least, it makes it so that they're not overexposed in any way. This shouldn't be surprising because Gareth Edwards also directed the recent Godzilla movie, which has received similar praise or criticism for not showing Godzilla nearly enough. I can't weigh in on that particular debate, seeing as I haven't seen that new Godzilla movie, but honestly, I think the technique is fitting and works well for monsters as a film. The other thing that works very well for monsters is the story structure, and I have to admit I'm very surprised because the story here is directly sort of, if you summarized it, it would sound exactly like D-War, or if I'm being even less charitable, Birdemic. But in practice, in the actual experience of watching the film, it is nothing like those. The story is the same, and the two characters are much the same as those two movies, but it's a lot more compelling. The people feel like real people, and I think part of the reason behind that is that you're not watching found footage. Now, I know the two films I mentioned before are not found footage, and I don't want to come off like I'm insulting the found footage genre, but I think that there's a different appeal to be found there. Chronicle, one of my favorite found footage films, the fact that it's found footage kind of gets you intimate and close in with the main character Andrew, and his actions throughout the movie become more chilling when seen through that literal lens of his camera. Whereas something like Cloverfield is more so you can feel the fear of the situation as if you were actually there. Monsters could have gone with that approach, but it's not trying to instill fear as if you were actually there. It's trying to get you to know these two people as individuals, neither of which are surrogates for the audience. Rather, it's actually kind of a story of how their relationship with each other evolves. So to be too focused in either of their heads would defeat the purpose. It would cause the narrative to kind of become lopsided. Both of them are sort of point of view characters. Obviously, the male is more of a point of view character than the woman, and that's to be expected. Not to rah sexism or whatever, but obviously this was directed from a male perspective. The male's going to be favored. That's just the way it goes with this sort of stuff. Like, I'm not making any sort of statement about that. It's just that when you tell a story from a male perspective, the male point of view gets emphasized. I think that's probably the most uncontroversial thing I could say. So let's get controversial. So in this movie, there is a long extended shot of an enormous wall built between the United States and Mexico. Within the movie's universe, this wall is meant to keep out the alien monsters, the new life forms, the infected growths that have been spawned in Mexico as a result of the disaster in the beginning of the movie. It strikes me as rather darkly humorous, considering this movie came out in 2010. And although talk of a wall between Mexico and the United States has been a topic for a long time, it's recently taken on a bit more of a role in the zeitgeist with John J. Jumperson in office, our Cheeto-in-Chief. Now, the presence of the wall did sort of elicit some modern-day feelings from me. Mainly sort of, wow, he never followed up on that. That wall's never getting built. Everyone who wanted a wall was lied to. But also the other feeling of, gee, this is probably trying to say something about, who we let into our country and why there are so many barriers when people are just trying to escape the bad times. Granted, the metaphor here being these two people just trying to get back to their normal lives while being in a land surrounded by monsters and other bad stuff. But, I don't know, the movie's incredibly subtle with its greater themes. So subtle, in fact, that I couldn't really, decipher exactly what they were going for. Which is a blessing and a curse, because the blessing part of that is that whomever on the internet can make whatever interpretation of something that's just sort of vague enough to seem deep, but the direct authorial intent is rather fuzzy. And that's a shame, because I'm sure this movie has a lot to say. No, I'm not sure of that, and that's the entire problem. So just to go off on a bit of a tangent here, because I feel this bears mentioning, why do people in fiction... No, why... Whenever there's any kind of grand threat to the world, a monster, a zombie outbreak, an alien invasion, whatever, the people who say, build walls, build a wall between the problem and us, whenever somebody says that and they try to execute the plan, it's always the stupidest, most authoritarian, most dehumanizing nonsense. It's always, they're trying to reconstruct the pyramids of Giza, low wage slave labor, basically trying to get this wall into a reality. And even then, whenever these walls are built in stories, they never last. There's always something that breaks. I mean, in a very literal sense, the wall is like the ultimate symbolism of like the fragility of cowardice, of just like, hiding behind whatever barrier you can to avoid actually confronting the problem. Sometimes human beings decide to deal with their problems like turtles and just retreat into their shell, or, find any other place to be, any other thing to think about than the actual issues that are facing them. And you know what? That's people's prerogative. But, the real people who are trying to solve the problem are out there in their Jaegers, or they're, trekking through this terrain, or they're deciphering the alien language and making it work, or they are otherwise taking matters into their own hands. So, I guess I don't really have an especially climactic ending for this, but then again, neither does the movie, so I think that it's fair that the Ruminations on Monsters ends with sort of, not a roar, but a whimper. I think that that's fair. I talked about a lot of stuff. I covered a lot of ground in this. Found footage. I talked about walls. You remember that other thing I talked about? The first thing? Yeah, the Babadook. Everyone loves. Everyone's favorite LGBT icon, the Babadook. I'm deeply conflicted about this movie. I don't know whether I liked it or not. I don't know whether I was excited by it or not. I actually, about midway through the movie, I started being like, this is starting to lose me a little bit. And I actually just sort of pulled out a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that was sitting around like under my bed, and I just started looking at those while I was reading this. So I guess true to its name, Monsters, I was looking at monster cards while I was watching this movie. This is an important genre movie. It's important that more movies are told about monsters, sort of around crazy sci-fi happenings. This movie sort of had to exist to give the Birdemic / D-War / whatever, man and a woman trek through hostile environments, to have it have one good movie. I'm sure this wasn't the first one, but it's the best one I know. And that should count for something. So, Monsters, you know what? People look at Monsters, make a better version of this movie. And speaking of better movies, I really hope that Episode 8 is better than Rogue One. That was directed by the same guy who did this movie, and I did not care for it as much as Force Awakens. I have hope, though. I believe Mark Hamill can save the world.
Annihilation? I thought her name was Susan. You know, if nothing else, I make myself laugh. So, the way that Ruminations typically works is that I take this single image from a piece of media, a movie, an anime, or a video game that has elements of cosmic horror or monstrosity, and I ramble like a madman over it until I become too miserable to continue. In this case, I chose this image from Annihilation because it showcases the potency of Annihilation's visual language, and I have some readings on the movie that this image is particularly relevant to. This is a good movie. I think any amateur reviewer should be able to tell you that Annihilation is dense with theming. There's a lot of dynamics between the cast of characters and intricately woven backstories and traumas that sort of bounce off each other in real time and bounce off the insanely detailed sci-fi environments. There's a lot of refraction of motives, of physical things. Everything gets refracted. Everything gets turned inward on itself. It's a prism, this film. So, you know, I would hope that any amateur reviewer would be able to tell you those things to you know, just have the basic idea of the film and what its meaning is, so that I could just take my own, you know, ruminations on it and then add to that. But unfortunately, no. You know, we don't live on a YouTube, on an internet where knowledge of film interpretation is considered a standard requirement for making these videos. There are no standards, you know, and I don't think there will be good standards until we get rid of all the lore monkeys and tallywhackers that are running the show right now. Am I gatekeeping? Am I low-key gatekeeping? Alright, well, why shouldn't I, you know? Why shouldn't a guy with a channel like mine do some low-key gatekeeping? Because I have big feelings about reviews, you know? I think review is a lot more than describing a list of events that happen in a thing and deciding ad hoc whether or not they're good or that they make sense. Because, you know, for this dire gentleman, this something the so-and-so, internal logic always comes in third as a priority, behind thematic coherence and emotional character study. So, until reviewers can understand those two aspects of storytelling enough to parse an impression of a film's meaning, you know, jumping to plot holes and nitpicks is really just kind of a cheap tactic to make weak critics stronger. You can exploit the low standards of the average person, but a film like Annihilation is immune. It's immune to your malarkey. It's too intellectual, my fine, stupid friend, which is going to have some people throw out accusations towards the film of pretension, or towards me, but who cares? Who cares if anything is pretentious? Who cares if we can understand anything? Who cares if for once in your life you actually have to utter the phrase, I don't know that? I say I don't know all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. I've lost control of what's happened here. The universe has no plans for me. I am a monster. Alright, well, maybe I'll just talk about the movie now. Even without summarizing the situation that brings our cast of scientific experts to this abandoned house in the middle of an alien wilderness, it's obvious from the framing that their presence is kind of subdued. They're like an interruption, you know? I mean, the way that they're hiking through that grass, it's like animals stalking prey, you know? These four women, these four scientists
It's so much so that, you know, if you're first looking at the image, really looking at it, you may not notice them first. You probably notice the flower person or the house, which is obviously the center of the frame. Yeah, so it's funny because, you know, they're walking into this domestic setting that has long been overtaken by nature, and you see, you know, plants, and you see this, and the film has its own kind of alien landscape, the shimmer, that's been twisting things around and making it all weird and, you know, making you lose your mind and get it back at the same time. We've got a humanoid tree plant that just kind of looks like it's a more natural part of this place than the actual flesh and blood humans. This is the house where the team falls apart. This is the, you know, it's a domestic place and it's a perfect shelter amidst all the madness, but it seems funny that the closer they get to an actual, something like what they left behind, the real world they left behind, they get to a sort of pseudo home. That's just it, isn't it? It's a house, but not a home. And within, they begin to collapse, and their problems become refracted and bounce off of each other until it's just... Oh, Annihilation is a movie about how living is pain, because when you die, that's it. You know, you're whiffed out of the world, and you're no longer a part of what's going on. But if you are still alive, you know, or if reincarnation is a thing, you know, it's quite possible that the same way growing up is messy, and the evolution of the mind and the body and how we respond to trauma and adapt accordingly, you know, that's complex enough for one life. But if you take that and imagine the scale of that throughout multiple lifetimes, you know, what with our our triumphs and our failures and all the pain, all of it just being torn into pieces and fed back into the system of atoms and embryos, and, you know, if we reincarnate back into the world, but let's say a part of us becomes a flower, a part of us becomes a raindrop, a part of us becomes a dragonfly even. There's all that pain, all that suffering. It's still in the world. And there is some sort of consciousness of that, whether it's not our own, maybe it's bigger than us, you know? And this film shows that, yeah, life is gonna get especially messy, and life itself doesn't expect anything from us. We're here and we try to find our own purposes. The whole machine, the mechanism of evolution, the interaction between all these species that happened here by chance, that's just going to keep going without us, you know? I mean, look back at the house, you know, that was there, and it was inhabited at one point, and that was, you know, it was abandoned well before the shimmer, but, you know, it was taken back by nature, stuff grew all over it, and people vacated the area, and then the shimmer came along, and sure enough, these little humanoid trees started sprouting up that look like people who used to live in that place, in that environment. I mean, we're constantly, in a very literal sense, leaving behind death. We're dying, we're shedding our skin cells, we're creating dust around us. Dust that we will eventually return to, but dust that we are. We are just life in progress and death waiting to happen. And if all of that remains, if it all gets reflected, if it's all taken into account into the big equation that makes up the universe, then, you know, will there ever be an end to it? Will we just keep living? Will we just keep changing? Will will anything at all ever become of us other than us? Is the transcendental ideal of the higher consciousness through nature and through communing with the universe, is that a thing that's even possible? Or are we destined to be just a piece of the ruder part of nature? Just matter, mashed up together and combined endlessly until we're unrecognizable. Annihilation's creatures, the monsters, the things that are in contrast to humankind, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they want. They're just trying to live as things happen to them. And one particular encounter in this movie it's a creature that, being what it is an accident of circumstances. And it didn't choose to do this, and it is in agony. It is a sick thing, and it's almost sympathetic to look upon this creature, to look at what has become of something, and to know that even though it is harmful and must be put down, it didn't ask for this. Sometimes monstrosity is thrust upon someone or something. Sometimes something becomes a monster just for a brief time. And that's a midpoint encounter, and it's kind of bookended by this earlier confrontation with a creature that's behaving naturally but doesn't even recognize the unnatural processes that are taking form. And then the ending encounter is a being that is even less aware than the creature in the middle. It's even less aware of what it is, and it needs to find meaning. It needs to find even the impetus for action in the movements and thought patterns of other beings. So it's like a devolution almost. It's like the reverse of what we think maturity and the aging process should do to a being. We start the movie with something that seems like it's integrated itself fully, like it knows what it is, but is unaware of underlying problems. And then we move on to something that is going through changes, can't handle it, and is starting to break down and lose itself in the strangeness of the thing it's yet to fully be. And we end with a creature that can barely move or talk or walk or interact with the world, but can only mimic. Annihilation. That's not even accurate, really. I mean, I guess that's the point of the movie, that, nothing is getting destroyed, because destruction, it's possible in a sense. It's possible if we do lose ourselves after death, if we're gone forever, but if we're all getting repurposed, nothing can be annihilated. It can just be changed. And change is what makes life scary. Enjoy your lives, because it may not be your only one. I was so close! We were so close! Could have been something. Could have made something out of yourself. But no! Look at you! You're a bad movie! If you've never been born, you've never been a bad movie! I'm complaining about it! I'm a monster! Here's a review of Super Babies Baby Geniuses 2, starring dead people who live at the bottom of the ocean. Tom Hardy plays... Ah! Tom Hardy plays... Ah! Tom... Tom Hardy plays Venom in the greatest Marvel cinematic installment in the galaxy since Blue Panther and Thor versus The Rock. It's a comic book miracle, Spidey fans. Now you can order a ghost pepperoni pizza and watch the big screen as the Venom marathon continues. I am the modern transcendental ideal. This movie has a 29%. 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. And my refrigerator is filled with 29% rotten. Lee Harvey Oswald! There's too much octopus ink on this spaghetti! You gotta send it back to the kitchen soon, for greater edit. We were so close! Could have been something! Could have been Doc Ock. Could have been Superior Peter Sparker. Shock Rock. Electrobike. I was expecting this movie to be unbearable, but in contrast to the critical consensus and my and my own low expectations, Venom actually turned out to be it's the funniest movie of the year, and I'm complaining about it. Forget what you heard. Tom Hardy ate live lobster in the making of this movie. He ate it because it peed on him through its mouth, as lobsters are wont to do. Hey, you, John Peterson, remember lobsters and John B. Peterson, antidote, antichrist, top lobsters, you're the vaccine for chaos! My cousin Venom is about symbiosis, symbiosis. This is a review. This video is a review of Venom 2018. I swear, I would never do or say anything in a Ruminations video that wasn't for the benefit of the audience. I have opinions to express about this movie. Relevant, important opinions. This isn't just some excuse to blow off steam or talk mindlessly about an offhand piece of the modern superhero zeitgeist. I legitimately want to raise concerns about the quality of Hollywood movies. Never mind that they never listen. Never mind that I should be out in the desert creating my own films. Never mind that all YouTube review, especially my own, deserve to be locked in a glass room with a blob of parasitic alien protoplasm. Could have been something. Could have been something. I was so close. It could have been something. I could have. I'm complaining about it. It could have been something. I would have liked this movie a lot better if Jenny Slate's character, Dr. Skirth, could have survived her close encounter with a Clintar and become Venom 2 enter Electro. There were so many extraneous symbiotes they could have used to give her powers, such as Dreadface, Scream, Pinhead, Lasher, Phage, Agony, Hybrid, Crowbar, Necrid, Payback, Zizix, Scorn, All Black the Necro Sword, Mania, Marcus, Anti-Venom, Antichrist, Jordan B. Peterson, Agents of the Cosmos, Karl Marx, Rays, Grendel, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Sleeper, and Dentures, to name a few. How would a symbiote-infected Dr. Skirth improve the movie, you might ask?
Why did you ask that? What? Why did you ask anything of me? Well, I just don't like all the women that get put in refrigerators throughout the movie. I think my refrigerator's a bit full. Now, you could argue that because Tom Hardy isn't motivated solely by the deaths of these women, that these aren't legitimate fridgings. But have you seen the editing in this movie? There could have been any number of cuts of this jib, but the movie version we got might have been the funniest one, but it's still pretty jumbled. I'd complain about the pacing, but I already told you the fix for everything. The antidote to chaos for this movie. The 12 rules of scriptwriting that fixes the whole thing. Just give Jenny Slate's character a symbiote, and the rest will figure itself out. I truly believe that was the only thing this movie needed. And it's for honest, not creepy male feminist reasons. It has nothing to do with my carnal fixation on seeing an attractive woman in glasses and a lab coat using oozy gooey ooze powers to fight monsters. It wouldn't be anything like that anime. You know, the one with the girl with the glasses and the oozy gooey ooze powers who fights monsters? Remember Beyond the Boundary? Remember their fight, the monsters? The girl with the glasses with the oozy gooey ooze powers? Remember episode 6? Where the entire cast did an idol dance to distract a floating eyeball creature? I honestly can't say any part of the show was as fun or as entertaining as that single moment. And I certainly wouldn't expect anything prior in the show to prepare me other than the fact there are cute girls and cute boys, and this is an anime from Japan, the only place where animes ever gonna be made, because you need to stick to the purity tradition, and animation is the only thing people can say. Kyle Art style is the devil! Beyond the Boundary peaked at episode 6, and I don't want to watch any more of the show, because I'm afraid I'll start to dislike it. You gotta know when things peak. You gotta know what's good in something and get out while they're getting good. You gotta pick your battles. If you're gonna review things, you can't get hung up on one thing. You gotta keep moving to all of them. You gotta be like a symbiote. You gotta gooey ooze yourself into something. And then if it's a bad match, you kill it and you move on. And you keep killing, and you keep infecting yourself like a parasite into each new piece of artistic integrity, in new freedom. You are an artist. You are an alien. You're a parasite. You're a parasite on this earth, and the only purpose you have is to consume and to eat and to feed and to kill everything that doesn't correspond to your petty tastes. And once you find that perfect match, that's when you are Venom, and they'll never know what hit them, because you get it with the venom, and they'll never know what hit them. I could have been something. I was so close. I'm complaining about it. Beyond the Boundary gets a 6 out of 12.
You say I ought to go to hell, but I'd rather die right here in your arms, baby. Good day, everyone. This is Dire Gentleman, and I'm back with another Ruminations video, the series in which I pore over a single image from a motion picture I have seen recently, and I ramble and rant ad nauseum over it until I am too miserable to continue. This week's movie is Animal World, a rather strange picture, and I promise I will give you the context for this one, because there is precious little of it. So, Animal World is a Chinese film adaptation of the Japanese manga series Kaiji Ultimate Survivor. It is directed by Han Yan. The lead is played by Li Yifeng, who is a rising young actor in Chinese film right now, and Michael Kirk Douglas of Ant-Man and much other stuff fame plays the big bad villain of this movie. So, Animal World is very hard to summarize because the big draw of the movie is not at all related to the plot. This is very much a some would call it, I think, style over substance, but for me, style is everything. Style is substance to me. Like, why do something without style? This movie has a lot of weird visual polish and added embellishments onto moments that you wouldn't expect to need them, but somehow it does service to the weirdness of it. It makes you feel like you are watching some sort of alternate reality. This is a movie that doesn't try to ground itself in realism very much. If I had to compare it to something in terms of, without much nod to the plot, I'd say it's kind of like a more male-centric Sucker Punch. Like, it's more focused on boys using their brains and using their convictions to get out of some sticky jams. It's Math League on a whole lot of drugs. Or I guess I shouldn't say drugs, because the film doesn't frame this as, trippy psychedelia. It's similar to Sucker Punch, honestly, in that it's the main character's mental illness that plays a role in this movie. I've read some reviews that say that the mental illness aspect of this movie isn't explored very much because it's not part of a character arc. The film opens with the main character doing a monologue about how he is crazy and how he hallucinates that he is a clown fighting monsters on a subway car whenever he's like under situations of a lot of stress. And it's because when he was a kid, at a very traumatic moment in his childhood, this scene from a cartoon was on where a clown kills monsters on a subway, and it's been imprinted onto his mind. So whenever he suffers from what is definitely some form of movie PTSD, he is brought back to that moment and imagines himself as the clown. He says this mantra over and over again throughout the movie that is what the cartoon character he saw said, and it goes, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." And at many times throughout this movie, he says that, or you hear the clown say it. It's just this thing that plays in his head, and it's like, this is what he has to deal with. This mental image of himself as a clown. And it's funny, because early on in the movie, they show that his actual day job is that he works at an arcade as a clown. It's an interesting setup for this movie. Like, it almost comes across like it's going to be some kind of like superhero movie, like a Kick-Ass or Defendor, superhero in real life, and their madness is kind of what drives them to become a superhero. But instead of that, it takes the much crazier, less predictable route of being a high-stakes gambling rock paper scissors movie at sea. Basically, this character and a few other of his friends get into some pretty bad debt, and they need to settle it by going to this ship run by Michael Kirk Douglas and his rich people gang of exploitative modern slavers. What ends up transpiring is the most stylized high-stakes rock, paper, scissors gambling of all time, and it just so happens that our main character is good at math, and being good at math helps you get out of this jam. He sort of guides himself and the other possible survivors to victory against overwhelming odds and against a series of eccentric gambling personalities that he has to go up against. And I just love it. What I love about the delivery of this movie is that none of it is framed as tongue-in-cheek or satirical in a way that, like, it has to wink at the camera. If it could be considered farcical, that's only to its benefit, because it elevates the drama to a point of humor. I wouldn't say it's melodramatic. It's almost hilarious how dire the circumstances are, and I like that. It's heightened reality, And I just, why do we even bother with this? Why do we even bother with, like, me telling you about a movie on this show. You should just go watch every movie ever made. Then you wouldn't need reviews because you'd know which ones are good and which ones are bad. And if you don't trust your own judgment enough to decide which ones are good and which ones are bad, then get more confidence in yourself. Develop more convictions, or at least know that if you do see more movies, your taste will start to develop. Go find your favorite, because me telling you secondhand about these movies, or anyone telling you secondhand about these movies, or talking at length about things you've already seen, that's not helping you. That's just keeping you in this comfortable hobbit hole. Go out into the animal world and gamble your life away or whatever, because this is good. And also just own your weirdness like this movie does. Own what's weird about you, and maybe it won't be useful to you in the moment. Maybe what you have and your particular brand of freak flag isn't applicable to the current situation. Because in this movie, the lead character's clown hallucinations that make him violent and lash out are a complete mismatch for the situation he's placed in. This isn't one of those things where a character's weird idiosyncrasies and what is perceived as a weakness or what is misunderstood by society, it turns out to be their greatest weapon because they've just found the perfect situation to utilize it in. This isn't that at all. This isn't your standard Pixar sort of the character's already great, the world just needs to accept them sort of thing. Instead, what this is a character using skills to get out of a dangerous situation, struggling with the emotional ramifications of that, making friends and allies, all the while, having a mental illness that, coexisting with it. Having a mental illness in this movie isn't a character arc. The fact that he has this trauma is just a thing that is part of him. I think that's good. I think it's healthy to have a movie like that about a mentally ill person that doesn't focus. It does, show you the toll it takes on him, and it does, present it in a visually poignant way that makes it impossible to ignore, but it doesn't, it doesn't glorify it, and it doesn't frame it as something that he needs to get over or to be fixed. At the end of this movie, he's still crazy, and there's nothing he can do about that. There is a moment of realization where he, looks at all of the other people who have been gambling ruthlessly, and, he all but says, even if I'm crazy, you're all crazy too. You're all deplorable in the way that you trade things ruthlessly. I would rather be a clown than to live out the rest of my days as monsters like you. I can't help but empathize with that, because he's found his brand of monster. And me, I am a monster. And I don't know how I won't be a monster. So I'm glad that this movie isn't just saying, hey, maybe if you go through the hero's journey, you won't be a monster anymore. Because that's not how it works, Monsters live in the belly of the whale, and monsters are the things that heroes, go to visit so that they can kill them or overcome them. And then they leave, they go back to their happy world where everything's fine and everything's comfortable, only they're the big hero now. Well, that's not how it works. Sometimes you just live in the belly of the whale. Sometimes you are a permanent resident of the belly of the whale, and there's no way out. And that's good. That's fine. The belly of the whale is the most interesting place to be. Live there. Learn to live there because it is dangerous, but don't try to get back to what is comfortable. Find new thresholds. The belly of the whale is deeper than you could possibly be. The hero's journey is too often framed as a simple circle with the upper semicircle being the comfortable world and the lower half being the uncomfortable world, being the dark place. Well, the comfortable world is the tip of the iceberg. And below the surface, in the belly of the whale, there is so much more. There is infinite depths down here. So don't try to get back to comfort. Don't try to return to the status quo. Keep diving, baby. So there was a big sequel hook at the end of Animal World, and to be honest, I want to see more of this so badly. Now, I haven't seen any of Kaiji. I'm a Kakegurui boy. I am trash. But I will watch more Animal World because I loved it. Maybe the next movie can be Tic-Tac-Toe or like hacky sack, like, deadly high stakes hacky sack gambling. I just want to see some more weird gambling with Clown Boy over here. It's all I want from this. I'm just glad that this movie could be seen, and it's on Netflix, so there's no excuse not to watch it. Everyone, go watch Animal World. I'm not good at like legitimate insults. I can't insult people. It's a personal failing of mine. My weakness is that I'm not good enough at insulting people. Anyway, I'll see you next.
Change is like death. You don't know what it looks like until you're standing at the gates. Jeff Goldblum. Hey everyone, it's another Ruminations video. This time I'll be covering the more recent Jurassic World series. You know the ones. Fallen Kingdom was the more recent of the two. It's a sequel of sorts, and I don't like these movies. I'm covering them because they have big, scary dinosaurs. See, I like dinosaurs. I like the big, primeval dinosaurs that once roamed the earth. I'm a big fan of those things. But to be honest, I don't give a hunk of coprolite about Jurassic Park as a franchise or anything. I mean, I've seen the original movie once, I've seen the sequels maybe once. When I was in middle school, I read the Michael Crichton book, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a interesting story about the hubris of scientists, disrupting the natural order. And I thought that was pretty cool. But when I saw the movie, I was, like a little kid would be, just kind of like, why'd they change so many things? This isn't, the book's better. And I don't know if I still stand by this idea of, like, the Jurassic Park books are better. I know I no longer stand by the whole hubris of science thing. Like, forget about it, Sometimes science doesn't work out, and sometimes, like, problems are caused, but not trying or not experimenting is, like, way worse of a crime to me now, I'll take mad science over complacency, that's the type of work I try to do linguistically and structurally in my videos, so why would I not want the same thing in real life? So the whole conceit of the Jurassic Park thing is just that it was wrong for scientists to bring back dinosaurs because we were overstepping our bounds. And that led to a lot of dinosaurs mauling people and attacking them because, this isn't their world, it's ours that they've been forced into. Returning the dinosaurs to the world is framed as this egotistical and childish sort of thing, where it's just a bunch of people who want to bring back the dinosaurs because it would be cool, because it would be interesting, and because they could make a theme park very profitable on the wonder and joy of people seeing dinosaurs for the first time. That's sort of the premise that the original movie and the original string of sequels well, mostly the original movie operate under. I think the sequels are just like people going to islands with dinosaurs. And see, I read the book. I read The Lost World, the book. It's very different from the movie. There's a scene where they ride a motorcycle and have to tranquilize raptors, and I don't remember anything like that in either of the Jurassic Park sequels. And they're definitely not in... Well, they're in Jurassic World, actually. That's the closest thing. Chris Pratt is basically... doing that, though instead of tranquilizing raptors, he's riding a motorcycle with raptors alongside of him, and it's a cool set piece. These movies are filled with just cool moments and set pieces that don't mean anything. But I'll when I'm talking about themes, I'll get back to the fact that these films are incoherent and mean nothing thematically. Bringing them back used to be the, like, naive, childish option, but now in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, they frame, like, people who want to protect dinosaurs or, like, keep them, like, safe as, like, oh, well, you're naive. Because it's all about, war right now. It's all about, weaponizing dinosaurs and making them weapons of war. Like, we've got to do that. This is the real world. So, dinosaurs can't just be allowed to be. What are you, some kind of child? And it's like, it's a complete reversal. Because, like, their presence here at all used to be framed as, like, yeah, we messed up. But now it's like, not using them is the thing that is being dumb and being, like... there's always cynicism. There's always cynicism somewhere in Jurassic Park. Cynicism is kind of the brand of the whole franchise, especially now. Now that there's, like, even more cynicism. I mean, look at this is like a sequel franchise to a franchise that peaked at the first movie. Because I don't, whatever. The sequels, I've heard the sequels are really bad. I've seen, I saw the JonTron review years ago where he said that, whatever. Why dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are the thing that is the most childlike wonder. And now the point of the franchise seems to be take the wonder out of them. Make them scary or make them weapons of war. Just, like, turn them into something else. Make people regret having dinosaurs around. But whatever you do, still use them for fan service. Still have all the recognizable ones. Still not give them feathers because hey, we've already altered them, like genetic power. That's the big threat in this movie. Training dinosaurs for war is genetic power, and it's in universe framed as on par or stronger than the nuclear bomb. Give me a break. In this very movie, the raptor that is supposed to be like a super assassin can't kill one small girl who is just running away from him in a hallway because he can't, like, maneuver around doors. How is this supposed to work? If the raptor was, like, on a battlefield, it's just gonna get shot a bunch of times. Oh, that's right, it's immune to bullets. Okay. It's immune to bullets. Ooh, you got me, movie. I'm sure CinemaSins is gonna not care about that and go ahead and say that, wait, it's immune to bullets, but before that make a sin about couldn't they just shoot it? And it's, no one will be any the wiser. Though, speaking of logic errors, how long until we're gonna get, dinosaurs that can breathe fire in this franchise, or that can generate an electric shock? How long until this is just Pokemon? The thing is, they really want to, like, sell you on the idea that these dinosaurs fight, but against human enemies, like in a human war. The concept of dinosaurs fighting your battles wouldn't work in the modern day. I mean, it would work back in, like, medieval times where, like, horses and elephants and animals could still, kill in battle, but a dinosaur, no matter how smart a raptor is, they can't shoot a gun. They can't throw grenades. Maybe they can, like, answer tactical response is good. I mean, they do say that this raptor, it has better tactical responses than a human, but what does that actually mean? Like, in the moment responses? Or, like, does it, like, train better to a human? Like, is there something in the human attitude that prevents us from being as good as this raptor at answering orders? I just don't know, you know? And it doesn't matter. I guess we'll talk about themes now. Okay, no, but first, the raptor... The whole idea of using dinosaurs to fight humans is stupid. Using them for war is stupid. I would have rather have seen, and this would have been a much more interesting, like, third act to this movie, that they just brought all these dinosaurs back to that mansion to do a, like, underground dinosaur gladiator combat ring, and instead of bidding on buying these dinosaurs for whatever purpose, they were instead gambling on which dinosaur would win. You know why that's more interesting? Because gladiator fights between dinosaurs are more interesting than an auction. Yeah, there we go. Dire Gentleman fixed it. Once again, he's the script doctor of the gods. Bow down to him. And put feathers on them. You cowards! Put feathers on them, you nerds! You anti-nerds, you opposite of factual fact-checking people. You Hollywood hacks. You cynical fruit berry pies. I'm complaining about you. God damn. I don't like these movies very much. I don't think they have a lot of substance. I think that I like Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard's performance enough, and that they like have such like cute chemistry like in real life and in interviews, that like that should carry it, even though like there's issues with both of their characters. So in the first movie, and this ties into themes as well, in the first movie, Bryce Dallas Howard is like this like super control freak, and she's like, nothing can go wrong, yet I'm building like a genetically modified T-Rex. And Chris Pratt is the like, oh, well, I don't know about that. Things could go wrong if you mess with nature. He's like the cool raptor guy, cool raptor boy. You know, they're kind of this duo because like one's, you know, super like in control, and the other's like kind of like this kind of free spirit like adventure boy. If I am to assume that this is the main theme of Jurassic World, no matter how much you try to like control nature or put nature in a cage, there will always be something unpredictable that happens. So no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you prepare, you will always lose against the chaotic nature of the universe. And granted, if that is the theme, that's not even something I disagree with. I feel like more people do need to be taught that lesson. But I don't think anyone coming into Jurassic World is expecting... Like, people are cheering for dinosaurs to break out of their cage. They're not dreading it. Like, the movie frames its big, you know, conflict, its big, like, you know, danger, in terms of, like, yeah, that would be really cool if that happened, because remember Jurassic Park? Remember that? You know, there's a scene in the first one where, like, a woman is scooped up by, like, 30 pterodactyls and gets eaten by a mosasaur. And it's like, are we supposed to be like, oh, how terrible, when, like, it's framed, like, really cool? Like, all these pterodactyls are throwing her around. It's like, oh my god, like, there's no escape. And then the end is almost a punchline. Like, it's a semi-comedic moment. It's anything but like dramatic and scary is what it is. It's anything but that, but it doesn't even have like the level of camp to go fully comedic. So it's just like, yeah, you know, nature's just gonna screw you over. That's the theme of the first movie. And Bryce Dallas Howard is just in the wrong for expecting to be able to control this theme park. And Chris Pratt is not like on any moral high ground, but like, you know, he was already prepared for like the chaos and the craziness, because he knows you can't control things, even though he controls raptors for a living. Alright, so we've established in the first movie that nature is uncontrollable, right? So here's the second movie telling you that the villains are saying that let's keep trying to control nature despite the fact that it's terrible. And also, like, the heroes are like, no, let's save this even though it's caused us a lot of problems, you know? It suddenly becomes about like conservation with these dinosaurs, even though Like, what is that about? Like, these dinosaurs are invasive species that could completely throw off the wildlife. You know what? I just realized something. I just realized a key fact about this whole thing, that none of this matters. I shouldn't be talking logic problems about Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I don't care about that stuff. That's not what I value in movies. The only reason I talk about it here is just because there's nothing thematically going on. And, you know, maybe that just means that this movie's not great. So why can't I dislike it? Well, I'll tell you why I can't dislike it. Because it's got actors that I like in it, and they're fun, and that's enough, I guess. But like, oh my God, Jurassic World. Like, why is this getting made? I guess this is a franchise now. I guess this is like a thing that I should be expecting more of. I don't know how well Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom did, but like, you know, I think I get how people feel about Star Wars. No, I don't. Because I never cared about Jurassic Park. I don't care about any franchise movie. My favorite dinosaur movie is the Mario Brothers movie. Are you sorry? This is the ultimate proof. This and like the reactions to like the Star Wars movies, the new ones, which I like, by the way. This is proof that like people just are gonna be mad about franchises but still give it their money. There's no, like, the only franchise movie that's done kind of bad recently is Solo. And that was not, you can't tell me that was people actually boycotting it. You know why? Because everyone was saying, oh man, Solo's finally the good one. Solo's finally the non-SJW movie. It makes fun of SJWs. And then all of a sudden, Solo didn't do so well at the box office, and everyone turns around and be like, yeah, well, we're not supporting Star Wars anymore. We're not supporting Solo, when Solo was the most nostalgia pandery one out of all of them. And I haven't seen it. Why would I see it? I don't care about old Star Wars. I don't care about your childhood. Everyone's childhood should burn. Everyone's childhood should be gone. And that's what Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is all about. We're going to take your childhood, we're going to weaponize your childhood, and we're going to take all the joy and wonder out of dinosaurs. We're cynical businessmen. We're warmongers. We're sitting up here on Capitol Hill, and we're going to make your dinosaurs into our secret weapons. We're gonna chop them up and grind them into crack and snort them, because that's how much we give a shit about your childhood. How's that for theming, huh? I hope a big old meteor plows into this movie franchise and kills everyone. Except they don't. I'll be back in theaters for the next one, because I've lost control of my life. This has been another Ruminations video. See ya!
I'm Shrek! Look at me, I'm Shrek! Hey, paisanos, it's me, Shrek! Donkey, look at you! You're Shrek! I'm Shrek! Everybody's Shrek! Donkey, don't come to my swamp, Donkey! You're not welcome in my swamp! Come on in, come into my house! I'll give you nice food! You're not welcome, Donkey! You're making waffles? Well, I'm making offals! I'm making awful videos! I am monster! My name is Shrek! I'm big scary ogre! Rawr! Grab your torch and pitchforks! It's me! Disney Pixar Shrek! The greatest monster to ever live in this swamp! No! Shrek! Welcome to Shrek! This is both the name of my house and me. There are too many fairy tale creatures over here in Shrek. Don't you see, that there are too many fairy tale creatures in Shrek. I gotta get over to Duroch. Get rid of these fairy tale creatures, don't ya know? donkey. We're walking along that road, donkey. Going on a journey for Shrek 2, Shrek 3, Shrek 4, and even Shrek 5.
Shrek, donkey. I'm Shrek. Ooh, we gotta go to Dulac. We gotta do the Dulac. Everybody do the Shrek. Go to Donkeyland. I'm Shrek.
The kingdom of Dulac is a big bloody block, and I've come to slate my shock and imagine my sockets full of pockets. I'm Lord Farquaad, and I demand eminent domain begin. But I'm Shrek, and you're not nothing. You're not welcome here in my Shrektopia. They said, donkey, kill him, sick him, donkey, make him bleed and die, and get your hooves into him, donkey. Oh, what you talking about, Shrek? I'm donkey and I'm making waffles. Sorry, Lord Farquaad, and my voice is different now. No, yes, I saw I'd like get you onto the scene. That was Shrek, by the way. That last line was Shrek. Oh, let's get out of here and go get a princess. Oh, I don't want a princess, you stupid. Yeah, all right, I'm going to get a princess now. All right, donkey, we're on the road again. Hey, Shrek, how come your voice keeps changing? Oh, shut up, donkey. I'm not doing anything. We going here. And so they travel along the road, and I'm on my way. Everything happening today. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Oh, girls are not like onions. In the story, they're like parfaits, donkey. What you thinking? We all got out of like onions. It's not true. Don't you be slandering the god name of the ogre god. Shrek, we're at the castle already and there's nobody here. Well, that's just it, donkey. There's somebody here. It's us. We're in the castle, donkey. There's no dragon. There's no princess. I think this might be the... Don't say it, Shrek. Don't say that word. What do you mean, donkey? Oh, Shrek. No. Don't do it. Alright then, let's go! Oh, look, it's a princess, donkey! Look, it's a Shrek! We found a Shrek princess! She's a princess, but also a Shrek she is! And a Shrek she will be! I've read the books, donkey! I've read William Steig's Shrek! And it's nothing like Disney Pixar's beloved movie. Oh, donkey. The greatest Disney Pixar movie is How to Train Your Dragon. What I love about it is that the society is wrong and all founded on lies. And there's only one boy who knows that it's different. And if people just listen to him, then they would be in a better place. Because, hey, who needs a character arc when you can just have society be wrong? And the main character to be right, and the universe conspires to make them more right, and the viewpoints of everyone who disagreed with them more wrong. That's how you create a good character. Nothing like Kung Fu Panda, where you actually have to sort of build yourself up and find out what you have to love about yourself and reconcile that with what you still need to improve upon. No, that's not how you make a good movie. That's not how you make a good character arc. That's not how you do an impression of Shrek. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. And the days go by. Once in a lifetime. I'm a Shrek. And we're back going on the road, going to the forest, and here's Robin Hood, the worst movie of 2018. My God, this movie is unbelievably stupid. and I'm not going to review it, so goodbye. Ah, la 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 la. Oh no, an arrow's in my butt, Shrek. Donkey Shrek. Shrek's donkey is in my butt, and it's got to be pulled out, donkey. Princess Shrek, help me, Shrek. Shrek is being helped. Oh, Shrek has been helped. Okay, well, it looks like the princess is a secret Shrek, and now we all know. But I don't know, so I'm mad about it. I'm mad about it. And now Lord Farquaad has come to take the princess back to Durak. And I am sad, so I'm going back to my swamp named Shrek, because I'm Swamp Shrek. And Donkey come back too, and he goes, Shrek, you know that Fiona wasn't talking about you, right? She was talking about somebody else. Oh? Well, then who was she talking about? No, I'm not gonna tell you, because you're mean. You're mean, Shrek. You're a big mean man. I don't care about that. You really hurt my feelings. Oh, well, Donkey, I'm sorry, Donkey. You're my best friend. I care about friendship now. Let's go ride a dragon. Yeah, how to train your dragon. Okay. Yeah, train your dragon with sex. With big 66. That's how I train my dragon. I don't know what you're saying, Donkey, but I think we ought to get going, because the climax of the film is right around the corner. I'll be tossing you up the church wall. I'll be breaking down the doors. I'll be saying, Shrek's here. Hold your applause. Hold your gauze. Hold your horses, because I'm hungry enough to eat them. Princess Shrek, please. Don't leave me with the zero. 'Cause you can be with a hero. I'm Lord Duloc, and I permit you to be destroyed. No, I don't want to be destroyed. Shrek and Fiona, forever!
And then the uttering of the princess's real name caused her to transform into a Shrek.
Which was her real name? No! I'm Duloc and I am dead because she's ugly. Oh, blue. And then they lived happily ever after. The end! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ruminations.
Welcome to Ruminations, the show where I look at a single image from a movie and I pore and I ponder and I become very upset until I'm too miserable to continue. And then I stop and then the video's over and then it's no different from when you began watching it. You click off the video and you realize, wow, however much time I spent watching that video is time I could have been doing something else, could have been doing anything else. These videos really are just something to take up time, and if you need time to waste, if you're not applying yourself enough, if you're not using enough of your time that you have some extra spare time to waste, you tune in to a video, you go on YouTube and you binge your brains out for a while, and it's just a real good time. Let me tell you something. So there's the movie Altitude 2010, right? And it's got tentacle monsters in the sky. It's got a big, scary tentacle Cthulhu in the sky. And it's gonna get your plane, it's gonna eat you, it's gonna eat all your friends. And that's cool. That's the movie I wanted to see, right? It turns out that there's another movie called Altitude 2017, which it's bad. It's worse because it doesn't have any tentacles, and it's just a terrible movie. I turn on this movie, and I'm like, all right, I got to this website. It looks like, thumbnail shows the tentacles, the preview image shows the tentacles, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm ready to watch Altitude. Here we go. And, the first scene is 40-year-old sweaty man with sweaty pits, blue-collar guy,
talking in his office on like a sexy hotline. He's having a little sexy call, and I'm like, all right, cool. What you do, you, man. Like, this seems like a weird way to begin the film because, like, I saw the trailer. It didn't seem like a 40-year-old bald man with sweaty sex pits is the main character of this movie. But whatever. Movies can begin any way. If you haven't seen them, you don't know how it begins. So it's probably the first thing. So then he walks past his desk and he flicks a little bobblehead, and upon that bobblehead's head is a red "Make America Great Again" hat. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm starting to think this might not be a movie from 2010, cause there was no Oompa Loompa Doompity Doo back then. There was none of that. There wasn't a thing. Hey, by the way, Trump is a terrible president, and any like good thing he may have promised in terms of like draining the swamp or providing like more jobs for people in like the Rust Belt or coal country, all of that stuff, like whatever he promised, it didn't come true. Even things like the Muslim ban, when he tried to implement them, he had to sort of like dance around the topic and create these laws that were neither efficient at doing the thing he promised, nor were they even constitutional. So he would create these laws that really serviced no one, neither his base nor the American public at large. And I'm very intentionally ranting against Trump's politics here right now, because apparently it's a really bad thing for YouTube reviewers to rant against Trump's politics, because no one is allowed to express their opinion in a certain way. Like, if you say you don't like Trump, you're automatically condescending. You're automatically like virtue signaling. Like, if you express a certain opinion that happens to be against the president, the commentary channels might come after you. They might say that, oh, you're getting too political. Oh, like, that's betraying your integrity. That's like so yeah, I don't like Trump. He's a bad president. And because of that movie with the "Make America Great Again" thing, I'm going to conclude that whole movie is terrible. And you know what? It probably is, because it got like a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. I might be exaggerating, but who cares? You know what? Fuck Donald Trump. He sucks. Orange man, big stupid. Come at me. Nah, that's all right. The Ruminations is a show that nobody really watches, but I just think it's fun because I can kind of say whatever I want here, and that's interesting to me, because like what I automatically gravitate to and what I want, I don't think I really say that many controversial things. Like, I can have it in me to formulate and script a hot take every now and then, but like, I think just generally, like, the things I believe in are kind of less things that like piss people off and more things that like positively help people. And this is subject to debate and interpretation. Like, I could say something that's completely innocuous and completely in keeping with what I believe, and someone could get upset by the fact that I hold that belief, or that I hold any belief at all. So, like, really, who's counting? Speaking of terrible human beings, this movie Altitude, the actual one, the 2010 one that I went out of my way to watch, even though, like, who cares, Like, oh, Dire Gentleman, like, look, there's, like, a movie with tentacles in it. There's a big, scary tentacle monster. Ooh, you better watch that. You should put that on your list, says me to me, and then me goes out of their way to do that. And then, it's great. I win. I win. Yeah. This movie's hampered terribly by the fact that its characters are awful. There's this one guy, Sal, who's pictured on screen right now. Sal's the worst human being, like, imaginable. He's got the most, like, sort of obnoxious, like, in-your-face personality. He's basically like a sort of stereotypical, like, toxic masculine, like, Neanderthal jock sort of dude. Like, it's the most, like,
it's what I mean by that is like there's no one who behaves like this in the real world who isn't just despised by everyone. The fact that a man like this has friends and like just hangs out with people, like I've met people like this and nobody likes them. They're just all like scumbags. If someone's just an idiot, you know, they can't skirt by on that forever. You know, maybe in high school, but not even then. You know, a lot of time, and this is going to be the most controversial thing I've ever said, but a lot of time, the popular kids in school are popular because they are socially, like, adept and kind of good at making friends. Like, sure, there's some other factors, like, you know, like money plays into it a little bit, and like talent, obviously. Like, you know, if you're good at something, like, you don't even have to be good at something. You have to be good at the one thing, which is, you know, navigating the social minefield that is high school. But if you're not good at that, if you're just like a giant jackass, you know, maybe that'll earn you some friends, maybe that'll entertain some people, but like it doesn't pay off in the long run, at least not to this extent. Nobody wants to invite you on, like, you know, these remote plane trips. Like, Sal, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, how did you get to this state? Like, how did you become this, like, this caricature of a man? Like, you are literally the worst, and it seems like, you know, whether it's your girlfriend or your best friend or this other person you know or someone you just met, it seems like you just can't help but make the worst impression on them ever. And it's like, do people like this really exist? I think I just have too much faith in humanity. I think I just, like, I'm not that good at insulting people. I'm not that good with coming up with reasons to despise people. Like, when I see a fictional character like this, I'm just like, I'm always, like, 100% of the time, like, well, that's just contrived. They just needed a bad guy, so they made one. And you could argue that he's got institutional power because he's like, you know, he's like a man. And he's like a white dude, but beyond that, it's like, you know, he's not the president. He's not John J. Jumperson. Like, he's not this, you know, he's not this institution that can, like, actually affect public policy. Like, he's just a jerk. He's just an obnoxious asshole and an idiot. And that's also what Trump is. But the thing is, like, you know, when Trump, like, you know, beyond the bigotry and the assholetry, like, you know, beyond all that stuff that he can say, you know, he also has to, like, make policies, and, like, 9 out of 10 times those policies seem to suck for a lot of people. And, you know, sure, you could argue he's made some, you know, some interesting choices when it comes to gun control, and, you know, he seems to be at least trying to resolve, like, economic trade issues with China, but like, that's just it. He does it in the stupidest way possible by, you know, doing tariffs, which really just kind of redirect our buying potential to, like, other places. Holy shit, there's, like, nothing to say about this movie. I've been going on, like, a political rant forever. Sal is a fucking garbage character. He's awful, and people like him don't exist. They just don't. They just, like, nobody is fully evil. Every person is human. And that's the thing, right? You know, people talk about, like, people like Trump or, like, I don't know, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, you know, all the skeptic people, man, skeptic's, like, kind of an outdated term, isn't it? Well, these lobster people, just these clawed crustaceans that emerge from the black depths of humanity, from our, like, instinctual need to have, like, a weird father figure or authority figure to like tell us what to do. Like, there is just all these, like, sad, pathetic men out there, and some women too. You know, I can't discount the women who are who are up for this. But there's just so many like sad people who are just like, I need someone to like sort of like tell me like basically what to do, because I can't hold myself accountable for it. Like, you know, I need to have like, you know, the hero. I need to have the, you know, Campbellian hero who can kind of like guide us out of the chaos. But not even that. It's like, you know, that they're my guide in the darkness. I'm the hero, you know, I'll have to get out. And it's like, I think the cornerstone of my philosophy when it comes to that is just like, you're not the good guy. Like, you are never, like, there is no one who is like the hero of the story of the human race. Like, give me a break. You should do the best you can to make people around you happier and to make the circumstances around you better. But like, don't for a moment, like, take it upon yourself to have this feeling of superiority or self-righteousness. Like, you're nothing. You're dust in the wind. You're just like Sal. You're this man with an agonized look on his face, flailing his arms around, screaming into the void as he plummets to his demise. That's what you are. That's what we all are. You know, that's what I am. I'm not higher than that. I'm not prouder than that. Like, you know, go ahead. Hey, is anyone watching this? Is anyone watching this Ruminations? Because I gotta wonder, do people watch these? Everyone who watches this video and gets this far in, leave a comment that begins with, Sal is a horrible person because, and then like, don't even like go by like the movie or even what I'm saying. Just write a description of a horrible person. Sal is a horrible person because blank. I want to see comments that are that. That's how I will know who's actually watching these and who's not. Because, like, you know, goodness, you know, you don't want to make me make a ruminations on ruminations on ruminations, do you? Where I examine how I've been doing the Ruminations show, why I've been doing the Ruminations show. That's not what I want to do. You know, I want to just make these mindlessly and throw them out into the void. I want, you know, there's something good about plummeting into the void every now and then, you know, getting away from it all. You know, sometimes you do have to just jump out of the plane or fall out of the plane and just plummet into the clouds and do whatever the fuck, you know? Doesn't matter that, you know, it was like an hour of everyone's time wasted, an hour and 8 minutes and 42 seconds into the movie of you being the worst person, of me being the worst person, I mean. Of me just being this complete, incoherent, monstrous, rambling, just unentertaining, like, schlockbuster canon. Because that's, you know, that's what I am, you know, officially, within the canon of this video series. I am a monster, you know, and I'm trying to get better, but boy, is it a long way down. But, you know, when I finally hit that ground, I can just be like, mwah, I missed you. But I'll probably fall into the ocean anyway, because that's where all life returns to. That's where all life will return to, you know? That's another thing that Donald Trump has really dropped the ball on, you know? He's not willing to address it, and nobody else in government seems to be willing to address it. I'm talking about the fact that, you know, the sea levels will, you know, continue to rise and consume our coastlines, and, you know, if the most powerful people have decided that, like, yeah, this is just the way of things, you know? We're gonna let the world drown, then, like, you know, I will get the high ground. Not the high moral ground, because, you know, I don't really care about that, but the high physical ground. I'm gonna be up somewhere on a mountain, you know, I'm gonna move inland, because, like, you know, I just I hate doing ruminations. Why do I do this to myself? I don't though. I don't hate doing any of this stuff. I want people to know that this is, you know, this is honestly a hobby, and it's a creative outlet. For every Ruminations video that is like this, which is just me, you know, not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do, there'll be a good one, or there won't. Or, you know, maybe Ruminations is just my series where nothing's good, where I say nothing of value, but I get it all out of my system, and some of you watch it anyway, and I'm looking forward to those comments. Okay, the point is, when it comes to Sal, our good buddy Sal over here, the dude dies an hour and 8 minutes and 42 seconds into the movie. And from that point onward, the movie becomes dramatically okay. there's a big twist involving the monster and involving the main characters that's kind of cool and would have made for a better movie, but they wait until there's like less than a half an hour left of the movie, and it's like, come on with that, like, don't just have your movie be this like the Sal is terrible show for like over an hour, and then at the end turn it into this crazy like Donnie Darko meets Cabin in the Woods meets Call of Cthulhu at the last second. Like, I wish I could care about Altitude. I wish there was way more tentacles in this. I just want the tentacles to surround me. I just want to feel the cool embrace of the slippery, slithery void as those tentacles wrap around me and shelter me from all of the poor decision making that I've made in the course of this video, in the course of just these last 20 minutes. This has felt like an eternity. Plummeting through a void. That's it. And that's really all I can say, because at the end of the day, these are just tangents. These are just me being like blah 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 blah. I'm so miserable, but not really. Because I have the joy and I have the privilege of watching movies and saying whatever I want about them, because I'm not a professional reviewer. I'm an amateur. This is a hobby. Ruminations is really just me boiling down the whole idea of a YouTube video delivering opinions, like the YouTube video as a vehicle to communicate with the human experience. That's really what it all comes down to. And there are other vehicles, there are other ways to do that. But this is the one, This is the one on Altitude, a movie that nobody will ever see, because now that I've seen it, it's done. I will never watch it again, and therefore no one else will ever watch it again. They're going to watch the wrong movie. They're going to go to the website and watch the wrong movie, and they're going to be reminded that the Trump presidency happened, and we're all going to die because we're all going to drown, and we got to move inland because Pacific Rim is real, and it's the ocean, not any monsters. It's just the ocean that's going to, eat us. Just go watch movies that aren't this movie. That's my recommendation. That's the end of my review. Go watch any movie that isn't Altitude or Altitude 2017. Any movie named Altitude, stay away from it. And that's like a pool of 2 movies. So like, you've got all the other ones to watch. I'm doing this for your benefit. Just don't watch these movies. Just don't watch them. Just don't watch anything. Just don't watch most things. Just don't watch anything. Why would you watch a movie? Why would you ever watch a movie? There's really no point to watching movies, is there? There's no point to watching movies. Fuck Trump, man. No, she doesn't. Not even once. Okay, maybe a little bit. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ruminations, the show where I look at a single image from a movie with monstrous or cosmic horror elements, and I pour my tears all over it until I get really sad and miserable, too miserable to even possibly continue. This week's review, or Ruminations rather, because these aren't reviews. This week's Rumination is I Kill Giants, a 2017 fantasy slice of life movie. This is an all-around movie about feelings, about growing up. It's a little coming of age story. I would liken this to, it's like the Where the Wild Things Are live action movie, but for girls. This could be for either. I should just say that it's from a girl's perspective rather than from a boy's perspective. And I think that that's good. I think that those movies would make good companion pieces for it. Though, to be honest, the real, boy version of this movie, where there's, a little boy, and the plot's mostly the same, is A Monster Calls, a movie that I almost did a Ruminations on, because I found out it was the previous work of the director of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I was like, oh, well, how about that? That's interesting. if that director, directed this this movie about a giant tree monster breaking into a boy's bedroom and telling him stories about how his mom's gonna die, I can kind of get why. There was a scene in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom where there's like a raptor like stalking around a little girl's room, almost like a monster in the closet type situation, which is honestly one of the better sequences of the movie. Like, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is probably a bad movie, but I don't think it's I don't think it's that much worse than the first Jurassic World. In fact, it might be better than the first Jurassic World, because, like, I don't know. The critics wouldn't agree on that, but who cares? I'm not a critic. I'm a reviewer, and there's a difference. It means my opinions hold less weight and are worse. Unilaterally, like 100% of the time. 100. I Kill Giants is a really interesting coming-of-age story. It's a really sort of sweet coming-of-age story, and it's got a lot of, like, neat sort of, like, fantastical visuals in it at times. The main character, Barbara, is this girl who, goes around wearing bunny ears. She has all these, like, mysterious tools and traps that she keeps around the neighborhood, which she considers tools for doing what the title implies, killing giants. She plays D&D. Just all around seems like the type of kid that I was at that age. I found her whole predicament very relatable, especially like in the dialogue and the way she talks to adults. She'll try to play off the fact that she's kind of got this like sort of off-putting, very intense personality by saying, oh, well, dumb people can't handle me, so I choose not to, associate with them, or like people fear what they don't understand. So, I know why people fear me, because they don't understand me because I'm on such a different level. Like, all of that came through like really clear. Like, I think this is a very well-written character. Like, on a dialogue level, this script is pretty well done. Like, this is really great. And when I was little, I used to come up with a lot of different stories and explanations for things, and it always came down to, oh, well, there'll be a flood this year. There's going to be a giant flood, and some sort of massive serpent will emerge from the waters, and it will come to claim us all. And I had so many notebooks and notes about how the coming apocalypse would change everything. And of course, when you're a teenager, you put yourself in sort of the starring role that you'll have some hand in saving people. You'll protect people. And this was the type of stuff that, I would show this to people and they'd be like, wow, sure is a good thing you're a happy kid. Otherwise you'd be a school shooter. And, that made me be like, huh. Well, I guess I just have to look happy all the time. Otherwise, people will suspect me of things. Suspect me of being a mass murderer. Just because I'm a weird kid. It's that's really kind of interesting and rough. And I understand, mass shooters do come from people who, maybe were like me when I was a teenager. Like this kid, the kid in this movie, Barbara, I could see if this was a male character that another writer would portray them as someone who could go on a mass shooting. But, there's never really been... Oh, wait, was the YouTube shooter like a teenage girl? I don't know. For the most part, there aren't a lot of teenage girl shooters. Why bother even talking about movies when you can be watching them? You can go watch I Kill Giants. I don't need to tell you about I Kill Giants. You go watch it. It's worth it. If you were a nerd, if you needed a coming of age story or something, or if it's just good, all right? Like this this movie is like better than all of Stranger Things because it has sort of its own unique premise and aesthetic, and it doesn't really directly pull from like, you know, a pre-existing. It's not familiar. You're not going to get like a familiar experience out of this movie. You're going to, you know, it might remind you of things in your real life that you've seen, but it's not going to like pull too hard from any pre-existing fiction. Even when it comes to the giants, they sort of have their own like built-up mythos built in like into the story. The Warhammer, you can see it in the trailer and probably in this shot too. The Warhammer that she uses, it almost reminds me of the Scott Pilgrim aesthetic of I talked about the Forbidden movie. Sorry, everyone. Scott Pilgrim is like a decent whatever, right? Like, who cares? I think some people like it, some people don't. I've read some of the graphic novels. I've seen the movie. Movie was okay. But in college, for like a year, I lived in like the same suite as a guy who would watch that movie like 5 times a day, every day for like weeks on end. Like, this man was very obsessed with that movie to the point that he could recite every line when we were watching, and sometimes he would do that. And I attended way too many of these things. I mean, lots of people were seeing the movie for the first time. It was a great way to sort of like meet people. It did eventually become this like, the same crowd over and over again going to watch Scott Pilgrim over and over again, and that was around the time that I sort of dropped out of going to see that. But my God, this man was trying to like, I think he was trying to consult with the movie as if it were some sort of holy text. Like, he wanted so badly to experience that whole thing, this whole Scott Pilgrim experience in real life, that he was hoping he could maybe do it via osmosis by watching the movie over and over again. Like, that if he just did it enough times, Ramona Flowers, or the Ramona Flowers equivalent, would just come skating in and sweep him off his feet, and then he could enact his video game tinged manic pixie dream girl fantasies. There's got to be someone like that for Ready Player One, like at this point. Like, and I'm glad that like I'm a little bit older now, so like I don't have to deal with that guy in college, because I'm sure there's a college age dude who's just watching Ready Player One like every moment of every day. Even though Spielberg like sort of made the message of the film, hey, go outside. But no, that doesn't matter, That's not what actually rewards people in the narrative of Ready Player One, a movie that I won't review, so consider this video my review. Ruminations is fun in that way, because when I start talking about something, when I talk about like a tangent, I can just kind of publish it as part of the overall structure of the rant, because there is no structure. There is no structure with Ruminations. So if I've commented on something here in one of these, chances are you're never going to hear about it again in any of my other videos. That's why these Ruminations are so exclusive. That's why they're the best thing. They're the freest form of commentary on movies. They're not reviews. They're not even commentary. Why did I use that word? What they are they're ruminations, man. They're just ruminations. So I would highly recommend I Kill Giants for anyone who likes fantasy, for everyone who grew up as a weirdo, for everyone who likes a good surreal coming-of-age story, because I think that infusing the troubles of childhood and adolescence with a bit of the fantastical it really captures that feeling of mysteriousness, of the unknown, and of being in that liminal space between child and adult. And just like Big Mouth. I love Big Mouth. Watch that show. But yeah, I've said all I need to, I think. I Kill Giants is a great little movie. I had a lot of fun. Barbara is a really realistically portrayed troubled teenager, and you really end up feeling a lot of sympathy for her by the end of the movie. And you know, you sort of have hope that, like yourself, hopefully, you know, she'll grow out of that. And, like, or you're still Barbara, and this movie can maybe give you the insight and perspective you need to move ahead, you know. Slay them giants. Don't fear them. You know, I know the goal of the show is to end these on, like, miserable notes where I'm, like, just done talking. But I think that I'm honestly just, like, you know, I'm happy. You know, I have nothing else to say. I think that people should just go watch this movie if it's their thing. She doesn't, though. Not really. Oh no, I'm reviewing a current movie on Ruminations, because that's just how off-brand I've decided to get with this show that already really doesn't have a brand. The point of it is to ramble and to rant over a single image from a movie that I believe contains cosmic horror or existential elements, but really not this time. I mean, who cares? What cyberpunk? What is that even? Yeah. Oh, you're losing your humanity because you got different robot parts in you. Well, yeah, okay. I guess that is the point of the genre. That's really great. And Battle Angel Alita is one of the famous works in anime of that genre. And now we've got a dang old 2019 film based on the original OVAs and perhaps the manga. So yeah, I guess that's just about where we stand on that. So whatever. It's cyberpunk. It counts. I guess it counts. Who even cares? Who even knows? What's up? What's up, everybody? How you doing? So, have you seen this movie? Because the point of this show is not for me to tell you what movies to see. It's you go watch every movie and then come back, get back to me. Get back. This is not your first source of information on any movie. Let me tell you. This is an after hours sort of diatribe or ramble that's going to be relevant to the movie. I thought that I should have. I went to see this movie at a theater, and I had some good old popcorn chicken and mozzarella sticks, because it's one of them good theaters that serve you the real food. By real food, I mean they serve you fast food tier food, which is real food, I guess, when it comes to movie theater level cuisine. I mean, I'm not gonna eat a movie with I don't know, friggin' plates of sushi or some sirloin steak. I mean, that's not gonna happen. I mean, that would be cool. That'd be great. I mean, there's no place around here, at least not unless I want to go into the city, that could give me a nice red wine with my movies. But I digress. I really should have brought an orange. So I snuck in an orange into this movie, and then eaten an entire orange, and then eaten a giant chocolate bar, the way this character progresses. And then I believe they never eat for the rest of the movie, which is cool, I guess. I mean, you don't need to show a character eating a lot. I mean, I guess especially if they're a robot. The rules for cyborgs in this universe, I don't really get. What do they need exactly? Do they need to eat? Do they need to do anything? Do they fuck is a big question. Because, a lot of this movie, a lot of the main plot is based on the romance aspect between Alita and Hugo, who's love interest, kind of rough and tumble street punk guy who's down on hard times. And thematically, let's get into themes. Yeah, fuck it. Let's get into themes. Because, you want me to talk about the movie? I'll talk about the movie, alright? I'll do it on my YouTube video with the movie's title in it. That's what I'll do. Thematically, I think that this movie's definitely about, class struggle and the places we come from and the privileges we're afforded and yada 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 yada. Okay, so the point is, Hugo is a guy who was born in the slums, born in the below world, wants to go up to the higher place, and he'll do anything at any cost, including throwing away basically
his dignity, his morals, even his own body at a certain point, to a certain extent, in order to get up there. And Alita is just the opposite. She is a person who came from the up above, the city of Zalem, and she falls down, and she's basically regaining things and regaining and learning about who she was and what her great destiny was, but choosing to remain living a humble life with the people she loves down below. So yeah, it's a big juxtaposition of their two moral positions. You know, one guy wants to go up, and one girl wants to go downtown. And that's the way that cookie crumbles. You know what I mean? Yeah, so their relationship is maybe the best part of this movie. I mean, like, you know, she also has a relationship, I guess, with the professor who restores her. You know, finds the remains that fell out of the garbage chute and restores her back to what she was, eventually. But, like, this dude is one of those, like, movie dads who's all like, you can't do anything because I said so, even though I won't give any good reasons for why you shouldn't do anything, and it's just going to make you more curious and end up having you doing all that stuff. Like, everything he does in this movie is, like, advise her against things that are obviously the, like, right thing for her to do. Like, I'm sorry, like, I know, you know, whatever, he lost his daughter. He lost his daughter in a very hilarious fashion, because I'm sorry, but there's a scene where, like, we're depicting the sad flashback of this cyborg breaking into his lab, getting all his meds. Oh, spoilers, by the way, if you care about those things, you stupid, cowardly fool. That's what you are if you think spoilers are actually a big deal. Anyway, crazy dude breaks in, he's shattering everything, he's going completely nuts, he's like, roid rage, robot roid rage, and he's like searching around the lab. He knocks over the professor and he's running out, and just the professor's daughter is just sitting there in a wheelchair. And this dude has so much room to, like, go around her. And the way this like scene is shot and edited, it looks like he's trying to escape. That's what we're supposed to glean from the dialogue. But the editing makes it look like he straight up makes a beeline for this girl to, like, slap her with his one big cyborg arm out of the wheelchair so hard that she dies. And it haunts this professor forevermore. So this professor, as a result of that, he sees Alita as someone he needs to protect and shelter from harm, and, like, oh, you're gonna be my new daughter, basically. Her name is even the same name as the daughter, so it's a bit of an Astro Boy situation going on there. And, you know, I think this honestly reminds me of the weird animated modern Astro Boy movie a little bit, which is honestly a very bizarre movie, which I don't know if it has anything to do with the original Osamu Tezuka cartoon. I mean, I've seen some of it. I actually have some DVDs from the old, way back Dire-terion days, you know, when I was living in the mountains in my my haunted mansion, my dire gentleman haunted mansion, back when I was a landed gentry and wasn't stripped of my title and exiled in disgrace to outer space. Back then, I bought some Astro Boy DVDs because I was gonna maybe review that movie and compare it to the source material, the way you do, you know. I'm sure that's the way a lot of other people are reviewing this movie, Battle Angel and Alita, like looking at the original anime and the manga and being like, yo, alright, this is like how it's different and how it's similar, and this is what adaptation does. And, well, I don't have that luxury because I never saw the original Battle Angel Alita, and I never read the manga. So it's one of those things where, yeah, who cares? What am I talking about? Oh yeah, Professor's a bad dad. He's a stupid, like, he's a very, this is like a Christian conservative, like, oh, because I said so or because God said so type of guy. He just is like, oh, this thing that you're interested in, I'm not going to answer any questions about it, but you can't concern yourself with it. And it's like, obviously she's going to concern herself with it. And then the whole, like, she's clearly good at fighting thing. He just keeps going, like past that point to a ridiculous degree. Oh no, it's too dangerous. Oh no, don't do this. Don't do that. And like 100% of the time, it results in something bad happening to her directly preventable by him, and then him acquiescing to whatever thing would have been the right thing to do before. He just makes these terrible, terrible decisions. There's the big dramatic scene in the middle of the film where she learns what she is. He explains this whole thing exposition-wise. It's like, yes, this is what you really are. This is your destiny. You're never going to achieve it. Fuck you. You don't get to belong. And she's so mad about it that she slams her fist like through the through a like surgical side table, whatever that's called. It's like a mini gurney. It's it's got the scalpels and stuff on it. I don't know what that's called, especially not in the future. It could have a new name for it. It could be called like a apulon. So she slams her two fists down on this apulon and dents it to the point that it's like all busted up, and she screams, and that's the big scene from the trailer where she's so mad. And that scene is so weird in the movie, and maybe I'll have to watch it again. I'm making this video the night I watched it, so bear with me if I'm getting the facts wrong, but it seems like he tells her the thing that makes her mad, and you hear her going, no, and you hear like a little bit of a slam, and then there's a cut, and you hear her go, no, and then slam the thing even further. I'm probably misremembering that, because I don't think that a cut that sloppy would get into a movie like this. I mean, it's possible. It's totally possible. And you know, it might be the case. There are bloopers like that. But I'm not going to be that guy who assumes that I'm more perceptive than an entire team that was like on making this feature film. So, okay, people decide for yourselves, maybe post a comment on whether or not that particular edit was sloppy. Does she say no and you hear a slam before she slams the table, or am I a crazy person? Am I a monster? Answer that as honestly as you possibly can. I beseech you, please. Do not leave me in the lurch. I need to know. I need to be corrected on these things. If I'm not called out on the ridiculous claims I make, how can I possibly be a great critic? How can I possibly approach objective criticism, which is my goal after all? The goal is to become objective. I need to replace parts of myself and become a cyborg. I must become the ultimate critic. That is the only way that I can inform you which movies you should be able to like. And let me tell you, this one is a, well, I mean, it's sure is a movie. That's for sure. And you know what else? I think that it had good moments in it. And some of those good moments were not. I said that the romance was great earlier, but in all honesty, there's parts of this romance that are just like, I mean, it's mostly to do with the guy. I like just the guy and his friends and his whole subplot. Oh no, fuck it, forget the romance. What I mean to say is that at the end, the narrative just kind of falls apart because he is accused of murder by Zappin, who just like kills a dude in front of him, and he now has a bounty on him for his crimes. But in the process of like getting to him and saving him,
Alita, like, kills, like, 5 other people, and then, later in the movie, kills again, and she's not convicted of murder. I mean, did she just do it so well that they got away with... Like, it's just so weird to me that Zappin can kill a dude and immediately there's a warrant out for an unrelated guy who Zappin just says is the perpetrator. Like, I thought bounties were a little bit more than that. You know, I just... It doesn't make much sense to me. It doesn't make much sense, and therefore the movie's bad. If I didn't get it, it's the movie's fault. Not me, never me. Forget it. Yeah, alright. Man, I thought I'd have more to say about Battle Angel Alita, but I guess I don't. I mean, the whole time I was watching this film, I was just like, do I enjoy this? Do I like it? Is this better than Divergent? Is this better than Real Steel? Is this better than Ghost in the Shell? I have no idea because I haven't seen that last one, the Scarlett Johansson one. It probably is. I don't know. This movie strikes me as like some kind of weird Scott Pilgrim Real Steel, less good version of Speed Racer. If you like this movie a lot, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I can't decide whether I liked it, but you don't have to be as indecisive and non-committal as me. You can choose to like this movie. You can make that choice, just like you can choose to be gay. You can choose to be a homosexual person. Nothing's wrong with that. Everything's a choice. We have free will. Nothing is predetermined. And DNA does not exist. DNA is a hoax. We are all products of our own mind. Our bodies always reflect what we want them to do. We subconsciously, just like the atomic warrior berserker suit from that ship that Alita's about to walk into, just like that suit, we all tailor ourselves with nanotechnology to suit whatever preferences we want for ourselves. So nobody should have any body image issues. Nobody should have any issues with their sexual preferences or their political beliefs. Or just like there's nobody who's not able to do anything. We can all do everything because we're all capable of nano reconfiguration in order to become our ultimate bodies. That's something we're all capable of doing. So this video is getting released in the far future when that is hopefully possible, because right now we're a clusterfuck of all sorts of stupid shit. DNA is a hoax, though. It's a hoax in that it decides people's merit. There's nothing meritable about being born a certain way, you know. That's the heart of cyberpunk, isn't it? You know, she's different. She was born like a berserker, and she got remade, but she gets to choose, you know? It's just a shell is just a shell. You get to decide what you do with the shell you're given, and it's given to you at random, basically. You don't get to pick who you are. And that's the real theme of Battle Angel Alita. That's how you know that you've got yourself a good movie. What the fuck was I? Oh yeah. Go watch Speed Racer. Just honestly go watch Speed Racer. If you like the cheesy dialogue and the cool action scenes and the kinetic energy of this movie, you will find way more of that in a way more fulfilling and visually stimulating movie in Speed Racer. I hate to be that guy who's like, go look for the better version of the thing you're watching. But if you're not doing that, then like, what's the point, you know? Why not do that? Like, what do you have to lose by looking for something better? You can be satisfied with
with the mundane, yeah, I'm judging you. I'm judging you for not liking, for not taking the time to realize your tastes may align with a movie that is similarly critically maligned or critically disliked, but may in fact be true kino. Just like Venom. I shouldn't use the word kino. That's been overused by just I don't know, just stupid people. People who are dumb. People who are made wrong. People who are born wrong. People who should be wiped off the face of this planet. I don't mean a word of that.
This is Ruminations on the Titan. This is the Titan. It's a movie.
This movie is Shape of Water for cowards, for babies, for vanilla. This is Shape of Water for virgins, is what this is. Inexperienced, fresh from the womb, spring children. Cause we got this movie here, and we've got this woman whose husband gets injected with a bunch of needles, and he becomes a fish. He becomes like a muscular, sexy shark man, and she's like, I don't want to fuck that. He doesn't know his own strength. He accidentally beat me. That's messed up. He's so strong, and his like smooth body is too big and burly and buff, and I want my old husband back. I want my regular old human husband back. And it's like, you don't know how good you have it, stupid lady. You got a sexy shark husband. Yeah, I know he can no longer speak the language. His vocal stuff has changed, but have you tried learning sign language? Or having him write things on a piece of paper. We don't have to go full Shape of Water on this. He can write stuff down. What, does he not know how to write? Did your dumb, lame, human, jarhead soldier husband didn't know how to write? God, what? Him becoming a shark, that suddenly changes your whole relationship? All your dynamics? He's something different now? You see him as a predator? You see him pacing around your house with his shark body, with his cartilage webbing between his fingers, and you think that's scary? You think that's freaky? You want to treat him differently, like he's some kind of monster? He's the same man you knew. Maybe you're the one who's changed. Maybe you're the one who's different. Maybe you're the one who... What is that noise? What's going on?
Yow! It's me!
Shit!
Netflix cowboy!
Whoa! Where the fuck did you come from?
I came back from the grave!
I thought you died in the time skip. This doesn't make any sense.
I have arisen to
Nobody even
deliver
knows
the
who you
review
are. You can't
of
just
the
review this
Titan.
movie because it's a
I
Netflix
have
movie.
come
This
back.
is Ruminations.
Did you miss me?
You're not allowed to do this. You can't.
Yeah.
Whoa! Don't point that thing at me.
Yeah.
Hey,
You're gonna die.
take it easy.
This is a
You-
real
oh,
gun.
man, you're-
I'm holding
no,
a real good
no.
American gun
Get
right
the
here.
fuck out of here.
I'm gonna take you out.
Beat
You're gonna die.
senseless.
Oh, shoot, you left it on. Down, stupid. Tear it out to the tank. Yeah. I'm choking the life out of you. I'm choking the life out of you. You are dying by the hand of Netflix cowboy.
Netflix cowboy. I'll kill you.
No, you won't.
I'll kill you if it's the last thing I
Oh, you're
do.
dead now. Breaking your neck. Well, hi everybody. It's me, Netflix cowboy, here to tell you about what I thought of the Titan. So this movie is about a bunch of people getting genetic surgery so they can further the human race on a planet far, far away. It's not really a planet though, it's a moon. It's a moon called Titan, and they're gonna swim in the waters, and they're gonna be superhuman beings. It's an inspiring story of sometimes you can be whatever you want to be, as long as you get the necessary injections and the government oversight is negligible at best. I mean, this is kind of a cautionary tale. The cautionary tale is, why would you remain human when you can sign up for a government program? I guess the real problem is that it's only for these highfalutin, served in the military, true hero types. And they're a credit to their kind, a credit to their nation, a credit to their country. But what if I want to become a sexy shark man? What if Netflix Cowboy wants to be a Netflix shark boy? How is he gonna be allowed to do it? Well, he can't, cause Netflix Cowboy doesn't have any money. Netflix Cowboy doesn't have a house or a home or anything, any morals, any dignity. He doesn't have a wife and child. He had killed my wife the other day. I used to have a wife, never had a kid. Oh, Netflix Cowboy's bad news. Netflix Cowboy's bad for you. And it's gonna kill you to bleed him down. Why don't they make more Netflix Cowboy videos? Why didn't Dire Gentleman make more Netflix Cowboy videos? It was really funny. And now they're all listed. They're all private. And nobody knows about the Netflix Cowboy. He's lost to the ether. In his last appearance, he wasn't even referred to as Netflix Cowboy. But I'm back. I'm back, baby. You can't kill what doesn't have enough dignity to realize it should have never been alive in the first place. That's my tale. That's my story. Oh man, there's so many Netflix movies that I never got a chance to review. Never got a chance to review Okja, which, I'm sorry, Black Mirror, I'ma let you finish, but Okja had the greatest pig rape scene I've ever seen. And boy, oh boy, did it overwhelm the Black Mirror. I feel like if Bryce Dallas Howard saw the scene in Okja, she'd be even more upset. And that's really the goal of media, to make specifically Bryce Dallas Howard upset. Why do you think she's in those Jurassic World movies? Wait a second. What is that noise? Good day, and welcome to Dire Gentleman Kills Netflix Cowboy. Stab, stab,
no!
stab, stab.
No!
I'm stabbing
How
you,
could it be?
stomping on you.
This is
I'm beating you,
impossible!
I'm putting on brass
But
knuckles
I'm
right now.
more violent
I'm
than
beating
you ever
in the
were.
face.
My
I'm kicking
whole-
your
the
arms.
whole
Yes.
point of my character
Ooh,
is
put
that
him
I'm
up,
violent
put him up,
and
put up your
insane and
dukes, Netflix
unstable.
Cowboy.
I kill you.
I expect
I can
more from
kill
you.
you really well. Why are you so confident?
Oh, I
Holy
got you
shit,
right
you'll
where I
beat the
want you.
fuck
Yes,
out of
take
me.
this, take
Oh,
this.
no.
Oh, you underestimated
You're too
me,
powerful.
huh? But now you're the one on the
Why
ground
were you
bleeding.
so strong?
Oh, well, look at that. It looks like your gun didn't do you much use against me.
Oh, what a
well,
world.
this is how I do it. My vaguely noble powers and bloodline have given me the strength to overpower you. Now I'm going to cave in your fist with the final blow. Here it goes. Bash. Oh, you're bleeding from your face. Well, that's quite a shame. Hello, everyone. I mean, good day. It is I, Dire Gentleman the First, the original Dire Gentleman, and here I am going to tell you about my feelings on the Titan. Now, what was most interesting to me about this movie is that it was about a shark monster, but you don't quite see it until the end. I thought that was rather silly. I mean, if you're going to advertise a movie being about a specific monster, to hold it back until the end, it's almost like it's a waste of your premise, wouldn't you think? Also, there was a lot of logical inconsistency. I mean, this government program has like a fatality rate of 80%. Did they really not even test this before they got the best of the best? Why not start with death row inmates, or something like that? Why not even start with animals? This is very contrived. Not only that, but if you've got 2 surviving specimens, why on earth would you use actual bullets on them rather than tranquilizers? Maybe they used tranquilizers and then bullets when the tranquilizers didn't work, but I can't be bothered to go back and watch this film a second time. Truthfully, I didn't even finish the film. That's how little I care about it. Oh, well, I am almost out of wine and almost out of patience.
Bamboo!
Wait a minute. What is that noise?
Hey everyone, it's me, Panda Bro, and I've returned!
Oh, bullets!
I will kill you
oh,
now!
No! Now! This is my turn to face my
It
demise.
sure is, dire
How
gentlemen!
could it have been
and
you,
now I
of
will
all
attack you
characters?
with my
You
Giga
were
Panda
barely
Bro
around at all,
powers!
but I suppose
the kind
you're
that I
more
got
visible
from
than
watching
Netflix
Bangkok
Cowboy.
Adrenaline!
Maybe go back and watch
Look
the
at my
original
powers!
stuff. But really,
Feel
what
the
was your
rush,
character?
dire gentlemen!
It hardly makes sense.
Feel the rush!
Oh, well, I guess now I
Yes.
die. It too, Panda
Yes!
Bro. It
Good!
too.
Hi everyone! It is me, Panda Bro! I think this is what my voice sounded like. Anyway, my whole deal is like, bro, just enjoy things. Just feel the rush, bro. That's like my whole deal, yo. So like, when I watch any movie, I'm like, it's pretty good. Like, I'm like there for it, you know? I'm living in the moment and I'm like, wow, this is a good movie. So, Titan, dude, he becomes a shark in this movie. It's awesome. The government's like putting all these stuff in him and they're like, many people are like dying, but he doesn't give up. He becomes like a big shark man. And then he beats his wife. And I guess I'm okay with that. I guess that's part of my character. I'm a misogynist. I love that he's beating his wife. He almost hooks up with this other shark babe. Like, man, that would have been fucking awesome, dude. But it didn't happen. The government shot the other shark lady and then had his wife maybe inject him with a serum that like gets rid of his mind. And it's messed up, man. But that's cool, because I could put myself in that situation. I totally could relate to that character, and more importantly, it was just a good time, man. I'm just having fun. Well, yeah, everybody's gotta enjoy things, you know? And if you don't, what's the point? You know? Oh, I wonder why my character didn't show up anywhere past like the first 4 Dire Gentlemen videos and then like a cameo in like the Bleach video right after the Wander Over Yonder one. I really have so much to say and so much depth to my character. It's really surprising that... Hang on a second.
Hey, what's up?
What's that noise?
Sorry, I just gotta kill you or something.
Oh! It's a character who's come to kill me!
Yeah, don't even
Who
try to
could have
resist.
seen
You know how this is
coming?
gonna go. Okay,
Well,
alright.
I'm going to give you a
I
good
guess.
fight. I'll give you a kick.
Block.
And 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 a kick.
Block your
and
attack.
A kick.
Block.
And a kick.
Block.
And a kick.
Didn't work.
And a kick.
Block your
And a
attack.
kick.
Blocked.
And a kick.
Block.
Ow.
Block.
My leg.
Block.
I'll try
Are we
the
done
other
yet?
one.
Are we
Get
done?
out!
Are you?
Both my legs
Okay,
are broken. I
Looks like
forfeit
you're-
the battle.
yeah,
You
alright,
are
cool.
victorious. I'm gonna roll away now into a hole or
God,
something.
I don't even want to
and
do this. I don't even want to do this fight. I don't even want to watch you
Goodbye.
die. I don't want to
Blah.
even hear your last words. I'm just so sick of this. I'm just so done with this. Yeah, so I'm the unshaven gentleman. I'm like, I like have basically given up already, but like at the same time I haven't given up, because that's why I'm here, and I'm kind of I justify perpetuating the length of a video because I exist in it, and it's supposed to be some sort of meta commentary on like the fact that videos are a form of time capsule and also emergent narrative, because I don't know what it is. I mean, I think I'm virtually indistinguishable from the Ruminations personality. Like maybe I'm like in some way the spawn of that or the progenitor of that. It's really unclear. The point is, I'm not anybody. I'm not anybody important or special. I'm just the guy who's like here, and I just, I mean, come on. Why do we even do anything? Why do we even bother motivating ourselves to do anything? I mean, you know, why would I even speak like this as an unmotivated person
who doesn't want to say anything of value? Why would I create a narrative in which even my lack of valuable things to say is in some way a virtue? I don't understand why it would warrant such discussion for me to be even around, even a thing. I mean, what's the point of me? Like, am I a cry for help? Am I a part of the person who's making these videos that really thinks it's too much? Is that a real part? Does that character even exist in reality? I mean, what am I if I'm not like an authentic reflection of the soul of the creator of these videos? I just don't get it. I mean, like, am I the disillusioned like white man, and am I what capitalism has done to this generation? Am I a lost millennial? Like, I don't know. The point is, it's all stupid. And oh, thank goodness. I have heard the voice of my killer, which means I can finally go now because I have nothing of value to say, and nobody's gonna miss me anyway.
I'll kill you once, and gentlemen.
All right, goodbye.
Victorious. This is the final form. This is the surviving one. All the other personalities are dead, and I am the perfect dire gentleman. Subscribe to me, bow down to me. Then you selected my presence, so it is the perfect dire gentleman. That is I, the ultimate gentleman.
So Get Out has been thoroughly analyzed at this point, and there's really nothing more I could add to it. But I think it's such a fresh, untapped well, and I think it's odd, because I think people are receiving this in a very literal way. I mean, Get Out's marketing and the hype surrounding it, and the eventual influx of positive reviews, all of that pointed to very clear issues that the movie was trying to address. This one is less directly race struggle. The main deal with it is something completely different. And I think people not given a framework to view this through, to get it with an issue, it just kind of breaks their brains. They can only look at it as oh man, sure is weird that monsters in this horror movie are attacking. But if you know anything about good horror, the monsters are never just monsters. And I think there's just these people right now who the amateur reviewers, the people who are on this platform with me, who they just don't get it. Or they're not even trying to get it. I'm not going to say that the interpretation I'm about to give is the universal interpretation, but here's my interpretation of getting something out of it. I'm not getting all of what it could be out of it, but here's my interpretation. You've got the doppelgangers, who are this class of people. They all dress in red, and they all have that one signature weapon, those scissors. And you've got real people who live in their houses, and they can go on vacations, and they're having a great time. They're having lives, and they communicate with each other. Not always ideally, but they have this baseline understanding of even if there are problems, they do love each other, and they have a happy life together. But the doppelgangers, or the tethers as the movie called them, they don't have any of that. Despite being functionally human in all the same ways, they have to live in a life of abject imitation without the benefits of it. They live in this space, this world, this country, with the real people, just the same as them, but their circumstances are such that they must try to do everything everyone else does, with the caveat that they'll never really be authentic. Their experience will never really be seen. They're kind of this invisible, forgotten class. And that fascinates me. I think the line where it's around the time, the first scene where these doppelgangers meet each other, and they ask the real family, Lupita asks, "What are you people?" And her tether responds, "We are Americans."
And it's like, okay, so obviously, this like, how come no one said this? Us, U.S. This movie is about the United States. It's about how we have ourselves who, like, you know, live in privilege, and that's, you know, regardless of race. If you have money, you can live in relative privilege. If you're of a certain class, then you're not without problems, but you're a bit on easy street. And then there are people who are trying to do the same thing as you, but because of where they were born, or why they were born, or the circumstances surrounding their early life, they are not afforded the same choices, they don't arrive at the same conclusions, and ultimately, they are set up to fail. And that's the situation we've got here. Now, whatever. You can say that, that's complete nonsense, dire gentlemen. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not what the movie's about. It's like, okay, cool. Tell me what it's about. Please, have a take of your own. That's the whole point of this. The whole point of criticism. It's not, I thought that the lighting in the scene where they can't really see the monsters that bad was kind of silly. I mean, people's eyes adjust to the dark, so they would have noticed it was them a little bit sooner. And it's like, okay, I made that up off the top of my head. I haven't seen anyone say that, but if that's a real complaint, it's like, motherfucker, that's what the lighting is for. We are supposed to catch on as the audience, but they do not. And even if they did, like, what would that add? Like, you people are so dull. You have no imaginations. Like, god damn it. Yeah, alright, cool. I did my hot take. Now time to shit on YouTube reviewers, because that's really... I'm a gatekeeper. I'm standing up here, you guys are all pale imitations. You are all monsters in the tunnels beneath YouTube, and I'm the only real one. But I was born in the tunnels. I'm a tether to all of you. I'm your motherfucking tether, and it's time for the untethering. I'm taking my analytical scissors, and I'm gonna come up, and I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna all of you. Another thing that pisses me off about YouTube reviewers is, like, does nobody understand that the concepts of horror and comedy can be intertwined? I mean, y'all loved Get Out, or maybe you were bullied into loving Get Out because people who are actually qualified enough to articulate why they like it were able to do that. And you were able to parrot their beliefs because you felt like you had to like it. But you don't know good from bad. You don't know great from good. And more importantly, you don't know how to pick favorites. You don't know your taste. You just have, like, this pre-programmed set of values that come from watching nothing but YouTube criticism. Just like Get Out had elements of comedy in it, this one has elements of comedy in it as well. And this one's more so comedic. You know what this reminded me of? It Follows, or The Babadook. These are both great horror movies, and they're great for a lot of the same reasons. That there's rules encoded into the thing, and you kind of get the logic of it, but the terrifying reality of what's going on leads to this kind of, like, gamified interaction with the audience. The audience has to learn the rules on the fly, and they have to analyze the events of the movie based on those things. And the characters catching on to the rules also happens, and they try to game the system. There's an excellent, like dialogue exchange in this movie about the family counting up their kill counts, which I'd say is, like, equivalent to scenes in It Follows, where they try to figure out how to keep the it away from them. Oh, what's the point? It's not like I'm immune to this. This video's like one of those things as well. I think I have more self-awareness, but what do I know? I'm just aware that I have anxieties. I went into the theater, and, like, every single time, I get popcorn chicken with my meal. But because I have this lizard brain that fears, like, modern American race tensions, I had this twinge of, like, wait a minute, popcorn chicken? Should I be ordering that for a movie that's, like, African American cinema? And I had this moment of, like, is me even thinking that making me some kind of bigot? And so I was like, okay, but I get it every time. It's a consistent pattern of behavior. Oh no, this all exists within me. This turmoil of the white man is my burden solely. And so I have popcorn, and I have
churros because I need to be multicultural as possible to avoid the white guilt of my unconscious mind forcing me to confront the sins of my ancestors. Here's the snacks I ended up with. This fully loaded plate of American decadence, of white privilege garbage. And look at how it's shot. Look at how the flash is on. Look at how you can barely even see the popcorn chicken. Should a man who has only this level of cinematographical knowledge, who says the word like that, should that man even comment on art that comes from a true artist, that comes from a successful man who literally was able to make a film that cuts to the working class, like, disputes in America, who's cutting to the real issues? I can only hope that everyone realizes what a piece of shit I am. Us gets a fucking 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. Holy shit, go see us. Don't waste your time on Ruminations. I've been Dire Gentleman. This is my brain dump of the week, and I hope you hated it.